Well, good morning, everybody. Hello. Christoph, yeah, that's a good sign that I need to make some more music because I really do use that one song in absolutely everything. Maybe I should look into that. How are you guys doing? Welcome. Good morning. We are doing mount runs this morning. We're starting them from scratch. Hopefully we can get through Siege of Orgrimmar twice. You know, fingers crossed as we do. Joining me today on my pet camera, we have Pepper the Bettafish. You can see him moseying along the right back, right, left. I don't know. He's in there. Um, as our pet cam, I'm going to make sure that we are on mythic difficulty. I'm going to make sure that I have some kind of sound, although hard to tell with this. I may need to actually restart this if I want that to work again. But no. I'm gonna restart real quick. How you guys doing? Let's do this. Been a while since I've seen this walking gnome. Only the earliest, and also the VoD watchers, are blessed with the grace of the walking gnome, indeed. There we go. There's a little bit of sound. I'm at the pet store for like 4 more hours, and then it's bath bomb time and reset day. Fun. Do you... what's your bath bomb life like? Do you buy them? Do you buy them regularly? Do you have a subscription? Do you craft them? Do you know somebody that crafts them? Because I enjoy, fancy bath products, anything that makes the bubbles more exciting. They're great. But they're also, like, not super cheap given that you are literally dissolving in water and it's fun, but of questionable actual goodness for your skin or anything. So I was thinking of like making them myself and then wondering if that's me going too far and getting into hobbies that I do not need to mess with. Siege runs, we're in here. I'm going. We're doing runs like what, 33 or 4 or something today? I had a panic moment late last night because I was like, oh yeah, I told the people that I would prepare a bunch of runs so that we would be able to just start the stream and then knock a bunch out one after another because I would have had the characters already cleared through the raid. And then I went to my computer and I was like, oh no, I'm still rendering, I can't do that. And then I went and sat back down and then I went, oh wait, it's going to be reset day anyways, unless I extend my lockout, which means that I would not be able to repeat the characters I normally run. That won't do me any good anyways. If I'm going to do that kind of a running the raids off stream and then finishing them on stream, I'm going to need to do that for a later stream in the week. So I let myself off the hook, but I had a real moment where I was like, oh no, I said I would do this, and then I forgot, and then I remembered, and then I realized I couldn't do it anyways, so. Is that a husky? On my shirt, this is art of my dog, Joker, who is an Alaskan Kleekite, which looks much like a husky. I suppose in image form on clothing, there's really no difference. It really doesn't matter. It can be a husky if you want it to be a husky. The dog design features on sweaters such as this one, as well as hoodies and long sleeve shirts available in my merch store. Should be a link somewhere. Hopefully somewhere. Siege Day. What's up, Allie? How you doing? Hi, Hazel. Love your hair. So I woke up. Well, no, not when I woke up. I was already a little worried, and this is a dumb thing to worry about, but I don't really have more pressing problems in my life right now, I suppose. Yesterday I had the worst time trying to get my hair ready for stream. I just didn't like it. And it's not that I don't like the color of my hair or anything. Sometimes I just can't style it in a way that I'm happy with. And I tried really hard and I got it to be kind of okay, but I still wasn't super happy at the end of the day. I used hairspray to try to keep it like smooth, and then I feel like that was a mistake. It didn't look great. Anyways, it was fine, but I wasn't pleased in my soul. So I really wanted to not make that. I wanted to give myself more time today just to make sure I could, please my hair soul. So I gave myself a bunch of extra time, and I got to the bathroom and I took out my ponytail that I had slept in, and it just fell in large waves. And I was like, I'm gonna not touch it. I'm just gonna very gingerly put on my headset and maybe comb out my bangs a tiny little bit, and then I'm gonna not mess with it because I like it and it's only getting worse from here. So I just left it alone. Hazel, do you have a spreadsheet that tracks which pet gets to be on which camera? I don't. I've considered implementing some kind of a schedule just because spreadsheets are very fun. But the issue is that it will vary depending on who's around and how fidgety they are. Like, sometimes the dog is really chilled and laid out. Sometimes he is running around a bunch more. Sometimes the cat's in a cat bed, and sometimes the cat is just singing the Song of Her People over somewhere else. And then the aquariums look better earlier in the week as opposed to later in the week because the algae builds up, and then I clean it all on Sundays. And then And then also like, there's just a bunch of factors that go into it, so I just kind of wing it on any particular day. Priority is usually dog, followed by cat, followed by fish, but I don't like to double them up too much in one week. I don't know. Like I said, I think too much about things that don't really matter. Speaking of spreadsheets, though, I had some ideas of different things that I could try tracking-wise. I want more data about my life and the way that I live it, because I know what I'm doing at any given moment, but I don't know that I'm really comprehending the, like, aggregate effects of my decisions, and I wonder if seeing all of my mistakes laid out in, like, a nice bar graph will help me be a better person. The Shadow Word Paint animation is so cute on gnomes. When they redid or just caster animations in general, but Shadow Priest got done along with them in Legion, it was just the best day. I love the snooty hover with the arms out, like the casting ready pose. It's so good. What are channel points and why are they important? Said Solarian. They're not important. They're essentially, as you watch the channel while logged in, you will earn points. You can redeem them for basically nothing. You could modify an emote. You can highlight a message, such as Ryan has done here in purple. And aside from that, it's just a number to go like, wow, I watch this channel too much. Not too much. You can never watch me too much. Of course. I buy them not regularly. My bath bomb game is definitely not as strong as some. Found a $3 bomb yesterday at the grocery store with coconut. It smelled so good. Trying to work more bath bombs to cut my anxiety and stress. Yeah, I like the Lush ones. I've received as gifts Lush bath bombs, and they're lovely. And I like that they have like an oiliness to them, because I feel like that's less drying than something that is just a soapy thing. So I imagine, and I've looked up recipes for them, but it's also not that big of a deal. I'm also perfectly happy to just take a regular bath. My priest's name is Hazel with like 17 extra vowels shoved in there somehow. Hello, Hazel in chat. I am so happy. I just finished my Undersea Usurper AV and got the crab mount. Congrats. Also finished the Mechagon meta 2 weeks ago. Thank you so much for inspiring me to do this. You're done. You're free. What's even next? Hi, Hazel. Happy Taco Tuesday. Oh, no, we can't talk about food. We can't. Although I do have leftover potatoes in my fridge. I had them in my fridge yesterday as well. I made them on the weekend, but they're still fine. They're still good. So if things get dire, I can remember that I have some leftover potatoes in my fridge. They're like sweet potato slices that I had done in the Instant Pot with like some herbs and spices, so they're pretty good. And I think they might be good cold, although I may reheat them. I've had like one or two bad days with food that I feel like I reheated improperly and given myself not exactly food poisoning, but, you know, regret. And I'm extra concerned about that now. So whenever I'm reheating food, I make sure, even if it's something that I don't really want to eat when it's super hot, I still get it super hot just to kill anything that might be trying to kill me. Very envious. I've been trying to find Deep Glider for a month. Last thing I need. Making a bar graph of your mistakes is never a good idea. A bar graph of your accomplishments is a much better plan. You're right. You're absolutely right. I don't think necessarily tracking my mistakes, but I want to sort of track, and I'm trying to figure out how to do it in a way that's not so overwhelming that I don't do it. I want to sort of track the time I spend on things that matter. You know, like there's like the time I spend on things that will actually move me forward in my life, as opposed to things that are still good to do but just have me treading water. And then I also kind of like, I have different categories of those things that matter different amounts. And the nice thing about a spreadsheet is that you can track by as many variables as you have the energy to enter into different columns. So I can really categorize it as much as I want, I suppose. But this sounds like the kind of project I'm going to start and then immediately forget about, because I've done that about 100,000 times. Just watched your video for the Shadowlands versions. In the outro, there was a Cold Tyran wearing a belt that had a fish hanging off of it. I love it. Need to know where I can get it. So, the belt is just a belt. The belt, I believe, is part of the Cold Tyran heritage armor, but that character is an enhancement shaman, and she was using the one-handed fish mace called the Stink Rot Smasher. The Stink Rot Smasher can be earned from island expeditions. It's a random drop from islands. It is also BOE, so you can check your auction house and see if you can buy them. They tend to be expensive because that experience is amazing, but it's a one-handed mace, so any character that can use their transmog one-handed maces can slap things with a fish. It's great. Let's see. Never have too much, Hazel. I like them. Fried potatoes? I haven't really fried much, mostly due to my fear of oil. Hello, Hazel in chat. How is it? Hey, Inari. Day's going pretty good so far. I thought it was going to be really rainy outside, but I found that, and I don't know if this is just a geographical thing. Probably graphical, not logical. Not to do with rocks, more to do with, you know, hills and valleys and mountains and stuff. But there's I'm in Oregon. I'm near Portland, so there's a lot of rainy weather. It rains for good amounts of the year. It's not like Washington rainy, but it's rainy. And sometimes you'll, especially around this season, sort of like October through May, you'll have weeks at a time where it's just kind of raining off and on, but it's like continually raining. Except, I feel like there's always a reprieve in the morning as long as it's early enough. Between like 2 a.m. and then maybe like 8, it's like never raining. Even if it was raining, it just like takes a break. And I don't know what that's about, but I appreciate it because I like to go outside, specifically in that morning window. And it's nice because then I don't have to get, like, I wear the raincoat just in case. I would hate to be unprepared. I am eternally paranoid of being not prepared enough for something. But it's nice because it stops raining for me. Love Lush Bath Bombs too. Talking about potatoes again. Oh no. Can confirm that oil is mean. It just gets so hot. The only thing worse than oil is really hot sugar, because oil gets really, really hot. Sugar gets really, really hot, and then it's also sticky. So not only is it on you and burning you, but you can't get it off, so it burns you more. I have a real fear of hot sugar. I do not mess with caramel very much. Mac Rob, thank you very much for the 2 months. Appreciate it. And Gunman Grim, thank you for the new sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. Hazel's done more for potatoes than I know. Oh, man. Just heard about your learner's license. Congrats. How comfortable are you with driving now? I have been out twice, and I feel like I'm reasonably comfortable for only having been out twice. I feel as though I am moving faster than I thought I was going to. I sort of, in my mind, was imagining like a few weeks of practice in parking lots and then a few weeks of practice on side roads. And we did 1 day of practice in parking lots, and then we did 1 day on kind of side roads, and then got into normal roads. And I'm more confident than I thought, and I feel like I can do it. Like, I've got a handle on it. I definitely need to build a lot more practice and experience, but I'm no longer as... I kind of got over that block in my brain that said I don't know how to drive, and I'm now at I need a lot more practice driving, but I feel like I know how to drive now. I've done enough of it that I'm not just pretending. If the car got from point A to point B, then I must know how, and it's just a matter of becoming more skilled and more confident and more and increasing my awareness. That's all. Let's see. Hot sugar sucks. My pastry buddies have some wicked scars from sugar work escapades. Oh man, speaking of hot sugar, tomorrow, and I need to stop talking about food, otherwise I'm going to be getting my potatoes before 11 a.m. Tomorrow is the baking stream. Tomorrow is pie day. I checked actually, so Mondays is grocery day for us. So I, on a baking stream week, have a reminder on my phone telling me to double check our ingredient stock and then get any other ingredients that we're going to need so that I have everything come baking stream day. I miss things occasionally, but for the most part it works out. And I went to check to see if I had everything I needed, and I already did. I already have had everything I need to make apple pie in my fridge. My apples are not the newest apples, but they're not like wrinkled and they're not squishy. You can tell they're not like super crisp and fresh, but I'm also baking with them, so I feel like if there's any application for like slightly subpar apples, apple pie is like if you're baking it, that's probably one of the best ones, as long as it's not rotten, and I'll be able to tell that when I'm cutting them. I think it'll be okay. Hi Hazel, love your YouTube channel. Good luck on the new license. Also, have you tried air frying? I haven't, and I am reaching the threshold of enough people having asked me that to look into it further. We have a friend who has one that really likes it, and I am reluctant to get kitchen appliances, particularly large ones that I don't think will fit into like an everyday repertoire. Like, I don't have enough space in my kitchen for me to be adopting appliances that will live on my counter forever and only get used once a month. I need it to be something I'm going to do a lot. However, I am intrigued by the number of things that I could perhaps make, because there's a lot of foods that I avoid making because I don't want to fry them. And if I could do any of them in an air fryer, the issue is I don't know enough about air fryers to know what they can and cannot do, because some things that I would want to fry might require, like, I don't imagine, I don't know how they work, but I'm imagining you can't really fry like a batter thing. Like if I'm trying to put like a wet batter into oil to fry it into like a thing, and I guess I don't know anything about air fryers. I'm imagining it like magically suspending a thing in the middle of an air vortex with like a shiny futuristic chrome Dyson-esque whoosh sound. I have no idea how they actually work. But things that I might like to make, it might be nice to make donuts at home. It might be nice to fry potatoes at home. What else do I actually want to fry? There's a recipe in the World of Warcraft cookbook for a fry bread that's like a flat bread that you fry that I've tried making, and I just don't get the oil hot enough to fry it properly, but I think it would be really good and really easy if I could, so that, perhaps. And then there's just a couple of recipes for fried like foods or fish, or like I'll buy wonton wrappers, and then I will mix together kind of like a rangoon paste with like some seafood and cream cheese and herbs and stuff, and then wrap those in wonton wrappers. And I just bake them, but those might be good in the air fryer too. I need to schedule a pie baking stream for March 14th. Oh man, I'd say I'll keep that in mind when March rolls around, but truth of the matter, I don't know if I like the reference that much, perhaps. One perk with watching Hazel live in the EU, it's actually dinner time here when the food talk gets too much. This trash room is probably the worst thing about siege farming. I change my mind frequently about what I think is the worst thing about siege farming. It's not Galacrass. I used to really hate this section because I would constantly forget bombs, and I still do. But it's not this section. This section's fine. The Galacrass thing is fine. It's probably still gotta be Spoils. Spoils, and then Paragons was up there. I'm getting better at Paragons after I have really gotten a handle on which of the Paragons were wiping me. So I feel like I'm better at that. I still feel like, even though I assume everything I need to understand about clearing spoils by myself, I still feel I don't trust it. I feel like there's a chance that it will still bug out and wipe me anyways, and that's such a giant time loss when you wipe on that one or when you bug that one out. So I don't trust it. Can you air fry Snickers bars? Oh man, old fruits pie time. Old apples going to pie. You'll be fine. I hope so. I also remembered to get some vanilla ice cream, because last time I made an apple pie, I just had an apple pie and I didn't have any ice cream or any whipping cream, and it was a good enough pie to eat on its own, but maybe it's just like a tradition around here. You're really supposed to, it's really, you know, if you don't have like just a little scoop of vanilla ice cream on it, what are you doing with your life? Particularly if the pie is like really fresh and really warm, so it's melting the ice cream like into the pastry and into the apples. I need to stop this now. Air fried Snickers bar would be Snickers soup. They're more like a mini convection oven. What does the, and I could really solve these, I could really answer these questions by Googling, but you know, my hands are busy. What does the food sit on? Does it sit on like a glass plate like it would in a microwave? When I was younger, we had a microwave that was also a convection oven. And I didn't really know the difference. I would use the convection oven to make myself like tuna melts on pita bread as a teenager. But I didn't really understand what it was. And I did read some kind of a headline that air fryers are really just a rebranded convection oven and that there isn't much of an actual difference. I don't know. How much did your PC cost to build? My current one is becoming super slow, doesn't play WoW well. Looking to get a new one, any tips? So my computer cost far more than any person reasonably needs to spend to get something that will play WoW very well. I don't like to talk about how much I spent because it hurt, and I don't want people to judge me too much. But if you want a computer, like you want to build a new desktop and you want it to run WoW really well, I feel like you start in like the I don't know, and I'm 1,200 starting price, and then if you want it to, and then anything that you go up from there, anywhere between kind of 1,200 and 2K is going to make it more future-proof. But I imagine, and I may be overestimating because I've worked with gratuitously priced stuff for a while. I think it'll run great, and it'll run great for a while. And then the nice thing about building it yourself and having a desktop is that, you know, 4 expansions from now, when the game is no longer running very well, as long as you had a decent processor, you can typically at that point, and a decent power supply, just upgrade your graphics card, and that will give you a big boost to being able to run the modern game better, just with a newer graphics card that you can then slot into your old PC. I used to do that often. My air fryer is pretty much a convection oven, a tiny one. Ever had apple pie with custard? No, but I want to. Custard is like not much of a thing here. It exists, but it's not really, it doesn't come up much. It's not something that you see a lot of or all the time, and I'm very sad because it's so good. It's so delightful, and I've ordered imported custard powder to like make the instant stuff, and then you can also make it like normally with eggs and stuff, but there's not a lot of recipes around here that incorporate it. Need to go. Try my first 16. Good luck. Do you edit videos in your WoW machine? Yep, I do everything on this one computer, which is part of the reason why I overspec it so much. A lot of streamers will run the game on one computer and they will stream on a second one. They'll have a second one just for encoding the video and then running the stream so that they don't have the one computer trying to do all of it. And I don't want to do that just because I don't like it. It is better and I don't care. I don't want to do that. So I overspec a computer so that I can have one computer and it runs WoW and then it can simultaneously stream, and it's also my editing rig, it's my After Effects rig, it's everything. So I'll be in a lot of trouble if anything happens to it. I guess I do still have my old computer that is set up for baking streams. But everything runs off the one because I don't really have, I guess I could fit another one. I'm trying to be very anti-clutter. I don't really have a lot of room. We're not in a huge place over here. This is a reasonably, I guess it's a mid-size apartment on average for America. If you took this apartment and you stuck it in Japan, it would be gigantic, but Computer 700 runs WoW really well. I am almost certainly out of touch with what is needed to run WoW. I would like to say that I'm imagining like max specs in Shadowlands with like a really high, or at least a 70+ frame rate, but I don't know. I also run the game at 4K, which is really unnecessary and adds a lot of extra strain to the graphics card. But I like it, so I do it. They hurt, but deep fried Mars bars are delicious. I have not had anything of the sort. I know various restaurants will make delicacies out of deep frying various candy bars, or ice cream is a thing that you can get, deep fried ice cream. I don't know if I've ever wanted it badly enough to like seek it out. Frosty19, thank you very much for the 2 months. I'd say if you spend good money on a computer, should never skimp on the power supply. Bad one could take down all the components. Yep, the parts that I feel like are worth investing in power supply, because like you said, it connects to everything. And then motherboard and processor are also like sort of central to the computer. The motherboard in particular is very annoying to replace if anything happens to it. And if you get a limited motherboard, that's going to limit the kind of components you can use with it later. So getting a strong motherboard, a strong power supply unit, and ideally a strong processor, because that is also like really annoying to replace. And a good one will last you like a long time. A lot of other things will date themselves before the processor dates itself, as long as you get a strong one. So those three things. RAM, you can kind of start with what you need, and then if you need more later, you can upgrade, but I don't recommend that people go too ham on RAM unless they know that they need it for something. Like for gaming, you're fine. Nothing uses as much RAM as people think it does. The only thing that I use that really guzzles RAM is After Effects, because, oh boy, it wants to load those previews on it. Minnesota's known for its state fair food. They deep fried everything on a stick. Having batter dipped in fried Oreos is a trip. I think once, maybe at like a Ren fair, I either saw it and wanted to eat it, or I actually ate it. I don't remember which of those two things happened. But there was deep fried mac and cheese, basically like a ball of mac and cheese that was then battered and then fried, served on a skewer. And I think it was good. If it was like a weirdly served mac and cheese, there's a good chance that I made sure I got some. Big fan of, it's hard to not like mac and cheese. More of a rhubarb and custard guy. You don't need a full-size computer. You can run WoW on a Mac Mini or an Intel. It's true, but if you want to, like, if it's running slow for you now and you want something that's going to perform, I feel like investing in a computer is not the worst thing you can do, because especially if it's a desktop, you can preserve parts over time. You know, if one thing goes, then you can just replace that one thing, or you can upgrade it by just replacing one thing. It's an investment in the future of your computer. I strung my first build out. I built my first computer in like 2011, and I strung that bad boy along until like, I guess it wasn't that long, relatively speaking, like 2016. In parts, mind you, like I upgraded the graphics card here, and then like I had an issue with it, and then I upgraded this here and that there. I made changes to it over time, but the guts of it I brought with me for a long, long time, and I'm glad that I had a good power supply, and I'm glad that I had a good motherboard, because those stuck with me for a while. Fried mac and cheese is amazing. My motherboard is dirty. Someone told me to give it a bath in my tub. Gonna try. I know you're kidding, but I want to emphasize, just for anybody that is not aware that that's a joke, that please do not get your motherboard wet. Caladrius, thank you very much for the 4 months. It's been 4 months since I've had to reset my YouTube substream. How did you learn to build a computer? The internet. I'm an amateur builder. I cannot confirm that I know what I'm doing, but I watched enough YouTube videos and have made enough mistakes that were thankfully minor mistakes that I am now confident that I can put together a computer and have it work. So yeah, YouTube, PC part picker as a resource for researching components, and then various YouTube videos. Like, you know, you get some good like 40 to 50 minute videos that walk you through step by step what to do and what to look for, and watch a couple of them so you can cross-reference what they emphasize the most, and trying to find videos of people building with components that you specifically are building with, because the build's going to go a little differently depending on what you're using. This most recent one, the computer that I'm using, was the first time I had ever built with an AMD processor. I used a Threadripper 2950X in this thing, and that made a big difference. That caused a lot of other issues that I had never dealt with before, because it was like a weird size. It was a weird size, and it required a new firmware that my motherboard promised that it came with, and that it didn't. Depending on what kind of components you're building with, you may want different advice. I can't keep the charade up. Yeah, PC Part Picker, your best friend. It's a resource that I've used for a long time. Linus Tech Tips has a lot of nice building guides. I'm trying to remember whose guide I've used. I've used quite a few of them, and I feel like they've kind of changed over time, so you're probably better off looking for one that is both well-reviewed and recent, as opposed to like the one that I learned on in 2011. 2019, still no holographic computers? Holographic computers, like they just project an image and then it can also compute, because that would be trippy. I remember being young, people thought we would have flying cars right by now. I mean, I always kind of think of airplanes, like modern commercial airplanes, as kind of like a flying bus. You know, the experience is very bus-like. You wait for the bus, you get on the bus, you are stuck on the bus with a bunch of other people that don't really want to be on the bus any more than you do, and then eventually you are allowed off the bus. It just flies. So, kind of. I really need Hazel time right now. Shiny 1-year-old computer died this morning. Oh no. Didn't start using an older computer. Just happens to be talking computers as I log in. I really hope it's something small that you can fix without too much issues. Paul's Hardware just released a 3-part series. I think I used either Paul's Hardware or Tom's something. Paul or Tom, I don't know. Good, strong names. Like there was a written guide as well. And then there's also a PC building subreddit. There's r/build-a-PC. They have some good information in their wiki. And if you look at like one thing that I did was I looked at their top posts of all time and top posts of the last year, because some of them were people like making a really crazy mistake and then telling the story of their really crazy mistake, and they got so popular because people could relate to it. So reading through some of those stories of what people have done wrong, while it can, oh no, I was gonna get rid of this stuff, oh well. While it can kind of drive your anxiety up because then you start to worry about what could go wrong, you can learn from other people's mistakes, and it will give you an idea of what to be cautious of. I would say that if you are going to build your first computer, to do so with really common parts, and Part Picker is really good for that. On PC Part Picker, you can see how many reviews, like a star rating of a part, and you can also see how many of that star rating it has. So something that has like thousands and thousands of good reviews is likely to be a part that is popular enough to be simple to build with, and for there to be lots of resources about building with that part online, which is good. Like when I started out, I used like the most basic vanilla stuff I could. It was like, okay, Intel processor, GeForce graphics card, gonna get myself some Corsair RAM, and you know, like a nice Corsair power supply, and the hydro water coolers, just like really generic stuff that almost everybody had. And it was good because it all came together pretty well. Anyone else really enjoying AV leveling? I've got 3 alts to 120 in the past few days. I need to crack the lid off that myself. I'm glad it's going to be here for a while, because I don't want to yet, but the event is going to last so long that perhaps I will reach a point in my life when I am, like, missing it and want to go back. People can't even drive normal cars properly. I wouldn't want to see a world with flying cars. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not really ready for flying cars. There are some cities that could really use, if not flying cars, more vertical traffic ways to make better space, but there's probably other things that we can do to reduce traffic congestion aside from just like adding more roads. Looks like a power supply problem. Power supply ordered, SSD bought for the old computer as well. Yeah, I've been there. That's so frustrating. I'm really sorry. You haven't asked for any advice, but I'm going to throw some out in the universe, and I'm sure you already know this. When you are testing new components, just keep the receipts, because like I had an issue similar to that a few years ago, and it would turn on and immediately shut off, and it had like a weird sound for a second, and then it would stop. And I also assumed it was the power supply, and then I would kind of like, I tried a new power supply and that didn't fix it, and then I tried a new, like I kind of went through every individual thing, and every time it wasn't the thing, I kept the thing that I thought would fixed it, but it turned out it didn't. But if I could have saved some money if I returned them. It ended up being like the least likely thing, which was the graphics card. I'm not suggesting that's what it is for you, but it's hard. You never, I guess some people know. Maybe I'm just bad at troubleshooting. I'm not great at troubleshooting. I need to throw my mage in there. She's stuck at 109. Depending on where you live, you can go with air or water cooling, get the same results. I don't think that, like, air coolers have largely caught up to and surpassed water coolers. I just use them because they're comfy. I'm not building a water cooling unit. I am not messing with hosing or with fluids. I use, like, contained all-in-one units that are, like, ready to slap in, like, grab and go. The Corsair Hydra series, and then I'm using a... Who made this thing? This is a Thermal Tech ring of some sort. They're already assembled. I'm not actually messing with it. I just use them because I've had success with them before, so I'm comfortable with them. I know that newer air coolers are just as quiet as water coolers, and they get the job done just as fine, so it's not really a big deal anymore. Oh man, I don't usually PvP, but I've been enjoying AV. Just wish I could get a win in my Alliance alts and not just my Horde alts. I went through a stage early in the AV when all I could do is win an Alliance, but I feel like the tide turned at a certain point. Air coolers are annoying to set up. If I had just one channel point for every superfluous trash mob Hazel killed, you've got a point. You have a point. I don't know why I am the way I am. What if they drop, you know, these ones gave me 48 silver, and that's 48 silver I get to keep. You know, that's 48 silver I can sock away in my silver piggy bank, and that's like a fraction of a percentage of a blue frog map, you know. Right? Troubleshooting's good. I would have assumed graphics card as well. You just start playing it beforehand. Yeah, it's fine to simply get a bigger one. I hope it's the power supply, because while that's annoying to change out, it's also, at least you don't have to reset much. It is annoying to change out, though. Built your own computer and aquarium. Good with technology? Absolutely not. No, I'm good at knowing when to look for help. I can tell when I'm over my head, and when I am over my head, I make sure to find some resources and learn me something as opposed to giving up, because I know I can do anything. I just know that I need a lot of help for some stuff. So for the aquariums as well as for computer building, and I'm not saying that I'm an expert at either of them. I'm really not. But for both of them, it's just a matter of research and then trial and error, and hoping that your research covered the worst case scenarios so that your errors are not like catastrophic. Did I just say catastrophic? That's new. Oh boy. Speaking of things that I did all by myself, this isn't that impressive, but it's a skill that I feel like everybody could benefit from learning, that I'm very proud of myself that I can do, that I exercised this past weekend. I, thanks to my parents, learned at a young age, a medium young age, not that young, how to unclog a typical bathroom sink. Because my sister and I both had long hair growing up, and we would brush our hair over the sink, and then the hair would clog the sink, and instead of just fixing it for us, they taught us how to fix it, because there is no way to teach a child to not brush her hair over a sink, quite like making her exorcise the gross hairy demon out of the pipe, because it smells very bad and it looks very gross. So doing that will really it'll really teach you how to, you know, be more careful about what goes down the sink. But our bathroom sink had been draining slower and slower over time. And it was still draining. It wasn't like clogged. And because of the design of it, nothing could have really gotten down there, but it definitely needed to be done. So I've been kind of putting it off for a while because it is a really gross thing to have to do. But you slap a bucket under there and you turn on some fans because there's going to be some gases involved. Take off the U-bend at the bottom. Make sure that you know how to put everything back together later. And then you can just take out the stopper and unclog the sink. And it's so gross, but it's so nice when you put it all back and then you run the sink and it just drains. It's so satisfying. And then, you know, knowing how to do that, then you can live not only with the confidence that your sink is now draining well, but also if it ever stops draining well, you know how to put it back together. You know how to sort that out and take a look for yourself. I think anybody could learn how to do that off YouTube, and it's a really good skill to have. Have some gloves handy. Have some gloves. Have a bucket. You don't want to be touching any of it. It's very gross, but it's a good thing to know how to do. Also a good thing to teach a family member if you have a family member that tends to clog the sink. If you have them help you with it and they can witness what they have wrought, they, I think, will be hopefully less likely to do it again. Get the stuff that dissolves hair, much less grim. That can be very bad for your pipes, though, and it's also just a really caustic chemical to be washing away. I'm not saying it's like a really awful thing to do, but it costs money, and also if you use that and then it turns out that you then have to go back into the pipe because there is something stuck that cannot be dissolved away, then you are now dealing with a pipe that is filled with a really caustic chemical in addition to all the gross stuff, and that can be dangerous to try to clear out. So there is a place in the world for Drano, but I don't know. I don't think it's better than just taking off the pipe and scraping out whatever gunk is stuck in there. Hazel's trying to invent new words for catchphrases. What do you think is the best mount in the game? The one that makes you feel happy and cool when you mount up on it. I really like the Lucid Nightmare just because of the colors, and I've always liked that model, the unicorn model that they added in Legion. But in the black and purple colors, that's like the way to go for me. Sometimes the power supply can fry everything else. This is true. All that anime hair. The one problem with anime hair is when you have dyed hair, not every dye will do this, but a lot of dyes that have been in my hair will do this. If a hair falls from your head and lands on a surface and then gets wet, or was wet when it fell out, it can stain whatever it landed on. And everything comes out with bleach, you know. The power of bleach is something we're all blessed with. But it's much easier if you can just clean it all up first time. Leslie Renee, thank you very much for the sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. Mythic Jaina mount is probably my favorite mount in the game. Super jealous of anyone who has it. I've got longer hair than most women I've seen. My main problem is the vacuum cleaner hates me. I've fried a vacuum cleaner or two in my lifetime. I feel you. When I got the one that I have now, which I paid a bit more for, and I like it a lot, so I really wanted to not fry it, I set myself up a recurring reminder to not only service the filters on it, but also just take a pair of scissors to the brush head and cut off the accumulated hair, because that's what stops the motor. Like, your hair eventually binds the thing in place, and then the motor burns out trying to move it. So it's fine as long as you remember to check it now and then and remove the hair from it. But yeah, it gets wild. I feel like mine's not so bad now. This is a length that doesn't quite tie things down as much. Oh, man. You have maintenance people for that? But they take time, and then they have to look at my gross gunk. And also, it's a really easy thing to do on your own. There's really not much, like, you can't really mess it up too much as long as you know how to put it back. You unscrew a pipe and then you clean out all the gross stuff in there. I don't need to call people for that. I'm not a plumber. Basic household repairs that don't really, I would feel better knowing how to do them than getting an expert, but that doesn't mean I'm handy. always try a pipe snake first. The one that I would be less confident in being able to fix would be the tub drain, because you can get down to like the top part of that, but you can't really get down to the underneath. The nice thing about a bathroom sink is that you have access to the U-bend underneath the sink so that you can, and the clog is almost always in the upper part of that, so you just scrape it off, pop gross thing out, throw it in the garbage, pretend you never saw it, and it's fine. A long hair house, scissors to the brush happens often. Yeah, that's okay. It's kind of amazing when you have long hair, seeing how much of it comes out of your head and being like, how do I still have hair in my head? And I know it's not just because I dye my hair, because it's been like, it's always been like that. You're always just like shocked at how much hair can be removed from your head and just falls out all the time. Secret hacks on how to unclog toilets. Mine never flushes properly. If it's only kind of half, I mean, that's a plunger issue. Darn it. Did I go up the wrong one? I think maybe I wandered through the door and went up the other one, and maybe that made it mad. I killed everything that was down there, I thought. Gosh darn. Drat. Life lessons with Hazel. I think the life lesson is it is a good investment in your own sanity to learn some basic maintenance, especially before you need it. It's not a super exciting thing to do. It's not a super fun thing to do, but it's not even that I'm trying to save money on plumbers or anything. It's just, it is so much less stressful to live my life knowing that if something minor goes wrong, I can fix it myself. I want to reduce the amount of potentially super stressful situations by increasing the amount of them that I can just kind of deal with. Best type of resident. People call about the silliest stuff. Yeah, we do still have to call for things, but usually it's when something like broke, like the flushing handle on our toilet just like snapped off. Like there's a part that connects it to the inner part on the back of the toilet, and it just like flat out broke. It was plastic that had kind of like become brittle and rotted away, and when you replaced it, it's like, yeah, we just use metal ones now because this was a stupid design. But that was like, it came off, and I'm looking at it like, I don't know what to do about this. And then I learned that you can flush a toilet that has a broken handle using the chain in the back. It's annoying, but you can do it. Guide Midget, thank you for the sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. Learning basics can also save a lot. Short-haired girls lose hair like no tomorrow, too. The U-bend is called a trap. It holds water to trap the air from coming back up the drain. That is what it's called. You're right. You're right. Hot water for the toilet. Just pour in a large bucket of hot water. I've also heard about dish soap. Like you can add dish soap to the toilet and give that some time. You could also potentially add toilet bowl cleaner. The problem is, if you're ever going to be adding a cleaner or a soap of any kind, do not mix them. You want to be very careful when you are using multiple cleaners in any situation, and don't mix them, because there are some very common ingredients that when they encounter each other can create very dangerous gases. Anything with bleach and then anything with ammonia, big no-no, and those are fairly commonly found in cleaning ingredients. So you want to be super, super careful that if you add one thing, don't then go try something else because it didn't work. You don't want to mustard gas yourself. And people do that. It does happen. Maybe the hair clogs were the friends we made along the way. Yeah, when I first learned about that chore as a child and how gross it was, I was horrified that this was going to be part of my adult life. But the part that I didn't anticipate is the satisfaction of seeing the sink drain nicely and know that you did that. That's it's a feeling you can't really beat. It's very nice. Hazel just woke up. I think I imagined a worm following your gnome. You imagined a worm following my gnome? That's strange. Perhaps a weird dream. Should make a disclaimer. Hazel's not a licensed plumber. Yeah, no, Hazel's not a licensed anything. Please consult professionals before taking any of my advice, because I'm just talking out my butt, as is streamer tradition. What am I licensed for? I'm licensed to operate a motor vehicle with a person who is also licensed in the car with me. I think that's it. Just need the vinyl from the rec rig, 2 blueprints from Cogstar, and Mexilon till my mount, so close but feels so far. The nice thing, which is also the not nice thing, you know, the double-edged sword of that achievement is that it can take a really long time because it is so RNG. But because it's so RNG, you can also just have the last bits fall into place really quickly before you're even like ready for them. They can just kind of like all happen. Yeah, don't mix cleaners. Don't create, please do not create mustard gas in your toilet. I have learned about never using multiple cleaners. If you get hydrochloric acid in basic environment, chlorine gas. CPR license? I do not know. There was basic health and safety training, but I don't think I ever had a job that really mandated that I ever get like a first aid license, so I am not licensed to provide anything like that. YouTube, saw one of the videos, remembered you're streaming? Welcome! I did put out a video on YouTube this morning. I was really struggling with what to call it, because while I'm happy with what I presented in the video, just trying to figure out how to present it was an issue for me this morning, but we got there. If sanity you wish to speak, clean your fiction, fix the leak. Nazoth's glory waits for you, he'll drain an ounce, you'll like it too. There's no magic in a limerick, it doesn't rhyme anymore, what's wrong with you, all will revel. I like how it kind of came apart at the end in a loss of sanity kind of way. Very Nazoth, very on point. On brand for him, I would say. Man, lately, I've been walking outside, and I've noticed it must be slug baby season, because everywhere I spot the tiniest of teeny baby slugs, and I know they shall grow into large slugs and be less cute, but they still didn't do anything to me, so I try not to step on the tiny baby slugs. And sometimes they get themselves, like I'll see them like halfway up a traffic light pole, and I'll be like, what are you doing, tiny baby slug? Can you even get back down from there before you starve to death? You're like the tiniest thing ever. And I don't help them because they're tiny slugs, and there's thousands of them. Millions of them, I'm sure. But it must be some kind of a season, because they really are everywhere right now. Seacrest out. See you later. Even if they never work in food service, I wish going through food handler's class was an adulting requirement. I remember food safe, like getting your Canadian food safe certification was a big deal when I was a teenager, because that you needed that certification to work in food service jobs. You needed it if you were going to get a restaurant job or a food prep job of any kind. So, oh no, I've made a mistake. I'm going to run back to the one that I came up with, because this one didn't kill me, and I think that one might. I don't know. Yeah, sorry, I jumped down the wrong side. I need to go on the other side. Uh-oh. Okay. Stream of consciousness. Have you thought about growing your own vegetables and fruit? I would love to. I've grown my own tomatoes and peppers on my balcony. Because I am limited to a balcony, there is a limit to how much proper vegetable gardening I can do. I can manage some herbs. I kind of slacked off this year. I have a fairly large collection of succulent plants, and I kind of prioritized giving those space over trying to grow edible stuff, because I have very limited square footage to work with out there. But I might try. It depends if we're going to live here another year. I don't know if I'm moving. I should figure that out. But let's try some more herbs again, because I miss having fresh herbs around, and they're not that hard to grow. Is there any way to speed up leveling your Nashatar followers? 2 still at level 15. Just want to get my Undersea Usurper. So, basically, you want to get as many plus follower experience items as you can, while also doing all 3 of the follower dailies every day. So make sure that you're keeping on top of the dailies. That's a minimum. But also you can get a ancient Reefwalker bark every week. Make sure you're killing the coral Reefwalker rares until you get that. Checking Merle's secret stash every day to see if he has the ominous looking tome. That will give a bunch of experience to all 3 of your followers. And then there's other items that you can farm. There should be write-ups on Wowhead that'll tell you how to get follower experience more quickly. It takes a while though. That was my last requirement also. If you do end up moving, would it be to a home you buy or another rental apartment or house? I suppose we could look into renting a house. I would ideally, I hate moving, and I know that's not unique to me. Everybody hates moving, except for maybe Marie Kondo, because she apparently does it all the time. But I really, really, really don't want to move much. I have aquariums. I want more. I need to put some roots down, because fish are just tough to move, and I don't want to do it a lot. So I've always said that I would really, 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 really prefer to stay in this apartment until we can purchase a home and be sure that we're going to be there for a while. I don't want to move to another rental just to then have to move again to a home. So I would like to try to buy a home, but there's a lot of factors that would go into that, and it's a complicated thing to unravel, so I haven't looked into it too much. Just got the first mage transmog set I've been working on for a while. Hope your siege run goes well. Thank you. I kind of like moving. I like changing the house around. it's the thing that stresses me out the most about moving. I think I feel better about it than I used to because I did get rid of so many things, and I realized that it's fairly easy for me to get rid of things, so I feel like if I did come to moving, I wouldn't have that much to pack, and I would also just leave a bunch. I would take the opportunity to leave a bunch of things in my past and not bring them with me. So that would be okay. And I would enjoy setting up a new home, but especially as a home owner, there's going to be a lot of stress that goes along with that. Moving the fish is going to be tough. I also have like 50 odd plants, and those, you know, they're not as tough to move as fish, but they're still not, they still need a little bit of care. Squirrel Squad, come over to help you pack move. I will probably continue to be somewhat cagey about my address and other personal information, but I appreciate the offer. Marie Kondo just opened an online homeware store? Did she now? Make sure you have the benthic cloak. I think that the tome will often be that secret item, so you will need that cloak. Mechagon stressful, just focus on flying around. Killing rares, farming spare parts. I moved with just the main things and then rebought what I left. Yeah, we don't need that much. My office closet, I fixed it. I cleaned it out. I got rid of a whole bunch of stuff, and I feel like there's just more stuff that's accumulated in there. I gotta do it again. Don't tell her now. She'll spend way too much in Marie's site instead of making videos. I don't think so. I remember the last time Marie was selling something, it was like a bunch of boxes for you to put in a drawer, like drawer inserts. And they were lovely, but they were very expensive, and that's a purpose that can be served by many things that I think I'm set on. I don't really need many more organizational items. I think I have enough baskets and dividers in my life that everything has a place. It's just a matter of making sure not too much new stuff is coming into my home, and that if something new does come in, that I find something to leave so that I'm not just accumulating items. I was thinking, I wrote down a plan this morning or not like a plan, but just like a one day, dream is too optimistic of a word, just like a thing I would like to do one day, which is set up in my home, once I have a house, I would like to set up a piece of furniture, probably near the entrance, that is like a charging station. So have really nicely and neatly routed cables, and have a charging place for every charging size that I reasonably need, like a spot for my watch and a few spots, like a few Qi chargers and a few micro USB cables, and then some drawers where I can store my camera batteries and camera battery chargers, and have a place where I can not only charge everything and have it all laid out nicely and neatly so I don't have a bunch of cables nested together, because cable hell is a real problem in my life. And then also have a bunch of drawers and have that just be a home for small electronics when I am not using them, and kind of get out of the habit of having my phone around me all the time. And make sure and help to not only have a place to store things and charge them, but also to use them more intentionally by giving them a home that is not on me when they're at home. I don't really have the space for that here. I kind of have it sort of set up on my dresser by my bed, but it would be nice if it was not in my room. Finally got my priest to 120. Congrats, Master D1211. How is it so far? How's the gearing going? Hazel, I keep meaning to ask, what foundation do you use? Aw, shucks. I use the... Here, I'll grab it. So, skin products. I've tried a bunch of stuff, but this works as well as I need it to, and it costs a little bit less. This is the Sephora house brand. What do they say? 10 hour perfect wear foundation. And then I use that, I apply that with a sponge. And then I also have their micro smooth pressed powder that I will apply on top of that, or I'll reapply it before a stream if I'm feeling oily. And then for a concealer, I just use this Maybelline stuff that's like $3 on Amazon. The Fit Me stuff, I have a subscription to that, so every 6 months I spend another $3 and get a new tube of it, because it works just as well as any really expensive one did for me. For makeup, I'm always about trying to find the cheapest thing that gives me what I want, and I balance out that cheapness by being very specific and needy about what I want. I can't be uncomfortable in my makeup, so I'll spend as much as I need to like it, but then I'll spend the minimum amount in that place. So some things like eyebrow pencils, they're all to me, because I am just adding a little bit of pencil and a little bit of powder over my natural eyebrow. I'm not actually creating any eyebrow. So all I need it to be is brown wax, some brown matte powder. That's it. So I can buy a really cheap eyebrow pencil, and it'll do the same thing that an expensive one would. So my brow pencil and my concealer are both really cheap. But something like like an eyeshadow primer or a eyeliner. Cheap eyeliner doesn't work for me. I'm still trying to find my forever eyeliner. I'm still using like a bunch of samples. Is it worth it to buy an external mic? Right now I just use my headset mic, but might upgrade soon. So there's a couple of different reasons. If you are creating content, if you are trying to stream or make a podcast or make a YouTube video or anywhere that you're recording into, then yes, absolutely get an external microphone. If it's just for the benefit of your friends, I would say it's not as important. However, there are good reasons to have an external microphone just for comfort if you can afford it and you don't mind setting up an extra thing. I really like having my microphone on an arm on my desk so I can move it out of the way, I can move it into the way, but it's not, it gives me the freedom to use headphones that are not gaming headphones. I can use any sound I want, including a wireless and like Bluetooth, without sacrificing my sound quality, because wireless headphones are very important to me. I hate headphone wires. I suffered under their wrath for so many years. I'm awful. I have no awareness of what I am plugged into, so I don't want to be plugged into anything personally. I need to be able to get up and walk away without remembering to unplug myself. So for me, the external mic lets me use a wireless headset, and I would still want this even if I wasn't going to make content anymore. Howdy Hazel, just shooting over from Italian Nevy's Twitch. Sup, how you doing? The answer is no, it does not spark joy, it drains my wallet. She's getting criticized for that reason. Let's see. Only need to get my druid to 120 now, then I can finally stop leveling stuff until the new X-Pack comes out. Makeup stream, yeah. I've had my fair share of iffy makeup choices. I just try and live my life now. I'm sure I will, like 15 years from now, I'll see photos of myself and be like, what was I doing? But I don't know. It's all fine. How's the mat run going? I had a spot of trouble around Siege. Pardon me, I'm in Siege. Around spoils. But we're moving right along now, so I'm hoping that I can make a good performance on Paragons and get through them without any issues. The Ordinary, I looked at their skincare products. I did not... The problem is that I need easier words. I have not taken the time to really learn which active ingredients I need and in what proportions. And The Ordinary, I think, is really good about selling you something based on science and based on the active ingredient involved and not just buzzwords, as skincare is really bad for. However, I am not educated enough to know what I need, and I know that the wrong active ingredients or too much of them can cause as much harm as good. So without like an actual dermatologist giving me a plan, and because I am blessed with fairly mid-level skin, I don't have any specific issue that's really bad. I just have the normal things everybody wants to touch up on. I am happier using CeraVe products. CeraVe? I don't know. Because I can just buy a thing and have it be the normal thing, and as long as it's working for me, then I don't mess with it. It's also less expensive. Where are my emotes? Where are my emotes? Where did you buy your stuff for your setup? Do you have a go-to store for all things gaming? The internet. I do most of my shopping, certainly my tech shopping, online. So, while it's not the best place to shop in the world, I do shop a lot on Amazon. I don't feel good about it, but I do. Most of my stuff Amazon. Occasionally I'll buy things direct from a supplier. Like my graphics card I bought directly from Nvidia because that was the only place I can get a hold of one. I get my Orgrimmar directly from Razer. If somebody will sell me something directly from their website, I'll usually do that because then you're just, I don't know, feels better. And for the most part, my setup kind of came to be over time. I've never done like a whole, I'm getting everything new all at once. It's kind of like a mouse here and a keyboard there and a gamepad here, just like little bits and pieces over time. But most of it was bought online. What's your favorite old people candy? Werther's, Reasons, or those little strawberry hard candies? Werther's for sure. Bad Diet. Yep, that's what I'm talking about. I still don't know how to pronounce it. I should look that up. You know, Werther's for sure. Those are tasty. I don't remember what Reasons are like, and those little strawberry things suck. Those are not sparking joy for me. They're not my favorite. So I take down Recall because he was a problem for me. Then I'm gonna wait for the third one to spawn. Drops down, good, and then I can get rid of another one of these boys. I'm gonna worry less about the bloods because they don't really matter. They're not a problem for me. I need to be more focused on getting rid of dudes that I'm not ready for. So here, I'll take down Corbin. Recall and then the Manipulator are the two that can wipe me. I don't think anybody else can really ruin my day. It's the Dissector and then the Manipulator. My setup took a year to make. I think I spent maybe 2K, not sure. The issue, the thing that sneaks up on you when you do kind of piecemeal a setup together over time is I don't have a strong concept of how much I've spent on everything. And spreading a cost out over time makes it easier for your brain to stomach, but doesn't actually make it any cheaper, I guess. It's a thing that happens a lot. That's why everybody wants you to pay a subscription for everything, because it's much easier for you to justify, you know, X amount monthly than anything else. Like, it's a really effective tactic, which is why everybody and their grandmother does it. Like, Adobe's doing it, and Microsoft's doing it, and Twitch is doing it with Twitch subs. Like, everybody wants you to pay monthly. Patreon doing it, I'm doing it, everybody's doing it. Because money spent over time is easier to stomach. Because then you're putting into concept of other money you've spent over time as opposed to like a one-time thing. Second down, a caramel coffee worther. A caramel coffee worther. I don't know. Sarah V. Sarah V? Sarah Vey? Sarah Vey? Really want an Orb Weaver, but can't hold off on spending 120 on it. Is it comfortable? I feel like in photos it looks super uncomfortable. It's comfortable for me. Like, my hand's not on a bed, but I feel like it's fairly relaxed, and I'm resting it. I'm not really supporting my hand. I'm pretty much letting it sit on the rest. If you have a small hand, it may not be as good. I have fairly long fingers. I just have hands that are lengthy, so I can reach everything fairly comfortably. If you have small hands, you may need to position differently or stretch more to reach all the keys. Seraphim with the resub. Shadowlands hype. Thanks very much. Hope you've been doing good. Oh, man. What else was I going to tell you guys about? I feel like I had a few stories. Not really stories. I did some cleaning this morning. I didn't really plan to. Oh. We're at this part of the stream where I tell you about the weird dreams I had last night. No. I woke up so mad this morning because of a dream that I had that was making me angry. And that anger is an unusual emotion for me. I don't do mad often. I don't do angry. I can do sad. I can do petty. I can do spiteful. I don't often get angry. So this was a new feeling for me. And the dream, so weird. There was a few different versions of it that all kind of had the same theme that were all last night, which is telling me there's something I need to look at in my life. But the last one was I was at the library. I had stopped by the library to try to get a library card. Because that's what I'm dreaming about. These are the struggles of my life. I dreamed that I went to the library to try to get a library card. And I decided to stop in. And I had a really hard time finding the desk. And I eventually found the desk. And I started the application process. But she, like, wouldn't give me the form. And then wanted me to do this, like, reading comprehension game on a little monitor at the desk to prove that I could read so that I could be allowed to have a library card. And obviously I could read, so I thought it would be fine, but then the game didn't have any words in it. It had, like, people, and you were, like, matching people and, like, combining people, kind of like Hearthstone Battlegrounds, which I've also been playing too much of, so maybe that came into it. And I was so upset that I didn't understand the game. The game seemed irrelevant. Nobody wanted to explain the rules of the game. I didn't know what the rules were. And all I wanted was a library card, and this was so dumb, and I did not like failing at something that I didn't even understand the parameters of. So angry. Stupid. Oh, man. Have you ever seen one of those dermatologist review videos on YouTube to find out whether a product is good or not? I have not, no. I have not. I always have trouble finding mice because I'm a lefty. Most of them are right-handed. There are some left-handed gaming mice now, but especially when you get into, like, MMO mice and gaming mice that have side buttons, you're not going to find a ton of them that are for lefties because they want you to use your thumb on your right hand. Finally got an upgrade for my chest this week. Got a 440 cloak. Very nice. Gatekeeping at a library is a definite nightmare. It was such a weird dream. And I woke up, and the other dream that I had was a really long, involved, weird one with various odd social situations. But essentially the gist of it was that I was back in high school, because that's where all good nightmares start. It was a different high school than mine. It wasn't the one I went to. It was nothing like my own experience. But I was stressed because I was like almost 30 and still in high school because I'd somehow not managed to graduate. And I was really trying to finish my assignments and graduate, but nobody really wanted to tell me what the rules were. Nobody wanted to tell me what the assignment was. And then I was like, and I was working on a project and it was like, well, what is it that they want me to do? And then the other students are like, oh, you have to buy this magic card. And then that'll tell you. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. Why? Just tell me what you want me to do. I don't know what the rules are. I just want to know what the rules are. How am I supposed to do the thing if I don't even know what you want me to do? Very frustrating. Also frustrating being 27 and in high school. I'm not saying it's bad to be older and completing your education, but it would be odd to be doing that within like an actual brick and mortar high school with a bunch of teenagers. Driver's license prep anxiety. Surprisingly, driving did not come into it. Although I have had those feelings of learning to drive and knowing that a lot of my peers that are also currently learning to drive are like 16. The kid ahead of me at the DMV was clearly like just freshly able to take his license. Seemed very bored about the whole thing. Really had that like arrogant teenager vibe down. Did not seem concerned at all. But I'm not too worried about it. I comfort myself by telling myself that there are millions and millions of people that are also learning to drive right now, and we're all worried about the same things, and we're gonna be okay, most of us. I think it'll be fine. I have a lot of advantages. Sensing a theme, yeah. Well, we had a good talk yesterday on stream. We were discussing performing in a structured environment versus in an unstructured environment, and how I feel like I do better when I have very clear parameters within which to achieve. Like, I liked school and I liked competitions and contests and tournaments because those had very clear win conditions. They had very clear competition. They had very clear things that you needed to do. And I felt confident that I knew what I should be doing. And I think in the YouTube grind, also attempt number 32, no dice, let's try attempt number 33. Within the YouTube grind, I think I often suffer a lot of anxiety of I don't know what I should be doing, or I'm doing something, but I'm not confident it's the best thing to be doing. I don't know what the best thing to be doing is, and that bothers me a lot. And also, I'm just not structured enough about my time because I need to create my own structure and then stick to it, and I'm really struggling with that right now. Voxin, thank you very much for the sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad, and the Pandress with the 4 months. Oh yeah, that's a very Kool-Aid man. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Lefty, and I've always used a mouse with my right hand. Feel like switching to my dominant hand would feel super weird. Anxiety dreams are the worst. I had left usually my phone is my alarm clock and it wakes me up, and I had left it in another room by accident. So I didn't wake up to my alarm. It must have woken my husband up. And then he like kind of shook me and I didn't hear my alarm. So I was like, leave me alone. Why won't they let me have a library card? And then he like brought my phone over. I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I'm good up. And I was just so angry about it. It wasn't a great start to the day, but it's been going well since. SS Balmera, thank you very much for the sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. When are you getting an actual driver's test at the DMV? Like my road test? I haven't scheduled anything. I'm not in a big hurry to take the road test because I want to be very prepared and very confident. And my current learner's permit is good for 2 years, and the only restriction is that I need an adult driver in the car with me. So the only thing that I'll be able to do after the road test is driving alone, which I don't want to even try to work towards I don't even want to try and do until I feel very ready. So right now I'm just kind of in a phase of making sure that I'm getting regular practice, but not stressing too much about trying to prepare. I don't want to take the test before I'm ready. I want to practice until I feel very confident, and then get some lessons, like professional lessons, and have a professional instructor make me driving test ready and drill me on things that they are going to test me on and make sure that like my parallel parking's really good and my complete stops are really good and stuff like that. And then I can schedule the road test. So ideally within about a year, but I'm not in a huge rush. I'm not going to take it in the next like 3 weeks or anything. It'll probably be a next year thing. Okay, I'm going to log on to my druid, and before I go start siege, although I do need to get going because it's going to be a little bit of a late stream end. I'm already a little bit behind. I'm going to open my cache because I have a PvP cache to open this week. I'm going to see if I got anything good. And I think I'm also going to grab this leftover potatoes so I can snack while I do the second run because you know I'm going to get very hangry in like 20 minutes. Can you show me your Moonkin plushie? Blizzard sold me one and they never sent it. You should, I mean, I'm sure, maybe you are, but get on them about that. They owe you a Moonkin. You need yours. You bought it. Also, they're not cheap. There he is. Big boy. Hey, Hazel and friends, new subscriber here. Thanks for being a breath of fresh air in WoW. Ed Revolution, thanks for being here. Does driving feel different compared to Canada? I didn't drive much in Canada. I'm really learning for essentially the first time. I had maybe 2 or 3 driving lessons when I was still in Canada, and by and large, the laws are the same. The licensing process is more rigorous in British Columbia than it is here in Oregon. There are more requirements, and it takes a longer time to get your full license in BC. But actual on-the-road driving, I don't think that different, but I have very limited experience. I'm not the best judge at that. Okay, what did I get? What did I get? Reasons is a medium soft caramel. Oh, I got 1 more of these. Oh, 5 of those. Can I make my conflict? I need 1 more week before I can make my 3rd rank conflict and strife. Okay. Do they sell a Tauren version of it? They do. Yeah, there's 2 colors. This is the Alliance color, and then there's a tan sort of camel colored one for the Horde. When I was learning, my dad set up a full Excel spreadsheet with dates, session lengths, places driven, skills worked on. Your hair color matches the notifications on stream. Why do you have to keep opening and closing your bags with vendor? Oh, that's so that I can auto-vendor everything. Auto-vendor will only sell 12 items at a time, so that if it sells something that you want back, it's never going to sell more than fits the buyback window. So if I have full bags and I just want to sell all of it, I'm opening and closing the vendor constantly to get 12 items out of the place, out of my bags at a time. That's why. Denkiz, thank you very much for the bits. New to the stream, but feels like a good place to be so far. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. A nice bath with some tea. A bath with tea, huh? I'm real basic in that if I'm having a bathing beverage, what a weird conversation. Also, what did I actually get? What did I get? Where's my gear? Am I not supposed to get gear? I got Azerite Power. I got a Warlord's Trophy, which upgrades an item to 430. And then, I guess that's my item. I get to upgrade one of my existing items. I mean, that's fine. I'm down. Now I have to decide what to upgrade, though. Ambercat with a gift sub, and then is with receiving the sub. You get the emotes now. Thanks, Ambercat. I use Leatrix for auto-vendoring. It sells all junk in one go. I could probably switch to that. The nice thing, I don't know, will Leatrix auto-vendor... The thing that auto-vendor does, like the auto-vendor add-on, is it will sell soulbound epics below a set item level, which is how I'm selling all of that gear from Siege. So, what do I want to upgrade to 430? Ooh, probably one of my trinkets, yeah. I've got a 400 Maledict. A 430 Maledict might be nice. I also have really gross rings. 395 rings. I could do my 405 chest plate, assuming that I want to stick with this. It's got Grove Tending, which is good. Rampant Growth is not too bad, actually. So maybe I should upgrade that one. I don't know. Assuming that I keep capping every week, it shouldn't stress me out too much. I think an extra 25 item levels to my chest is probably the right way to go. Because that's going to give me more healing, whereas the Maledict is going to give me a little bit of intellect. But, you know, if we weren't going to get the kill before, we're not going to get it now. Ooh, or my weapon. I've got a... Will that work for weapons? Notorious Gladiator item. What can I use this on? Can I use it on my weapon? I've got a 405 staff with a socket. I cannot use it on my staff. Upgrades and no... Oh, I don't even have... I'm using Sinister Glad stuff. I don't even have the new stuff. Oh, wow. RIP. Okay, I'm just... My stuff's all so old, it won't even let me upgrade it with this thing. Yikes. Oh, God. Okay, my Notorious Glad stuff. I guess I could upgrade my Safeguard 415 to 430. That'd be something. My rings are both Sinister. My stuff's so old. I've got 415 pants. That's less exciting. 420 helmet. That could be bigger by like 15 item levels. I'm gonna do the Safeguard, I think. Let's do the Azerite gear. There we go. That's something. Okay, I'm going to get myself out to Siege. I'm going to grab my potato snack and Start flying over there. Ulf Wolfheimer, thank you very much for the sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. And Silly Lily 82, thank you very much for your sub. Welcome. Unpopular opinion, I much prefer leveling in Outland zones and leveling in Northrend zones. Something about Northrend is super boring while leveling. Outland has, like, you can tell the quests are older and they're required, like, they have lower drop rates, they have wider areas. Sometimes the mobs have poorer respawn rates. However, Northrend is just so cold. I always, in Northrend, I always go through Shelazar Basin because it's the one zone that's not, like, frigid looking. And I don't know, I feel chilly. I don't like leveling cold zones. I like tropical zones. We're going Pandaria this way. Just came back from WoW. What is with the big weekly chest? So there are 2 chests that you can get. One of them is for PvE. It is from Mythic Plus. Based on the level of your Mythic Plus key, you will get Azurite at the end of the week, as well as a piece of gear and some Titan or Residuum that you can use to make Azurite gear. The PvP chest, which is the one that I just opened, requires you to conquest cap every week. If you filled your conquest bar, if I fill this bar within this week, then next week I will have another chest on Tuesday, and that it's similar concept. It contains artifact power. I thought it was supposed to contain gear. It didn't give me any, so I must be confused. Oh. Okay, I will be right back. I will leave you with Pepper if he ever decides to grace the camera with his appearance. I was unsure of how to serve, I suppose, like season or serve those potatoes, because they're sweet potatoes, not yams. They're not the orange ones, but they're like sweet potatoes, and they've got some herbs cooked into them, but they're still kind of like a basic plain potato thing. So I was like, do I get ketchup? Do I like ketchup? Does anybody like ketchup? Don't like ketchups. And then what I ended up settling on is I splashed them with a little bit of balsamic vinegar and then salted them, because I remember my favorite way to have French fries growing up is with salt and vinegar and not ketchup. And I don't know if that's as common of a thing around here. I want to say it's a British thing. We always did it at home in Canada. We would serve, my grandparents would actually, like, they would make fish and chips at home, and then they would fry, they would make fries, they would make battered fish, and then they would serve it with a little dish of white vinegar and then some salt, and you would, like, dip your fries in vinegar. Mythic, there we go. Who drinks beverages? Oh yeah, we were talking about bathing beverages. So I always have water with me. I always have a bottle of water with me if I'm having a bath, because I can get dehydrated, especially if it's very warm. I'll be sweaty. I don't want to get dehydrated and then faint. It's a real concern, so I always have water. And then, aside from that, I like to be very basic, and I'm going to try and fight less trash today. Be very basic and have a glass of wine, which, again, you need to be careful with, especially in a hot bath if you are, I don't know what the word is, weak. If you tend to faint or become lightheaded, you want to be careful with alcohol and hot water. Bad combo, but sometimes I'll do a little bit of wine. When I was a kid, I would, like, sneak pop soda for you Americans, because I wasn't allowed to have it very much. And to me, a bubble bath was like a party, so I wanted party food. I don't know. I've never done tea, though, because I feel like it would be strange to me to have a hot drink in a hot bath. I feel like the double heat of it would be odd to me. Zahi, thank you very much for the 5 months puppy shirt. Indeed. And Trellender84 with the 5 gift subs. Thank you very much. Who drinks beverages when they are bathing? Happy people. Appreciate that. Yeah, no, bathing beverage of choice. Water with a little bit of wine. A little bit of wine. White wine, ideally, although red wine will also do. I drink shower water when I'm bathing. Oh, dear. Oh, no. Celebrating my 17k channel points the other day. Must be much of a saver in the spender. Let's see. My favorite wine, Cabernet here. I am a wine baby. I'm a wine newbie, and I'm not even sure that I want to commit to becoming more experienced at wine. I don't know if I want to make it like much of a habit. So I will drink like actually anything. And I don't know the differences. All I know is red and white. And some of them, they have different flavors, but I couldn't really tell you why. I have never ordered wine at a restaurant because I have a vested interest in not making myself look dumb. And I would absolutely look very dumb trying to order wine. Hazel's like the weak die in the bath. Calm down. I couldn't think of another word to say it. Like, some people, and I am one of them, are like predisposed to dizziness in certain situations. I don't think it's necessary. Like, maybe there's a medical term for it. I don't know. But I have historically, and I don't get dizzy often, but I do know that I need to be careful to make sure that I eat all of my meals and that I stay hydrated, because I can become faint if I don't do those things. And maybe that's true for everybody, and that's just called being alive, but I know hot water will aggravate it, so I need to be careful of what I have or have not had. Like, I don't want to do a hot tub on an empty stomach, for example. Just, things like that. I don't know what the word is. Maybe a little anemic? I guess maybe. I don't know. I haven't had a blood test in a long time. I don't think I exhibit a lot of other symptoms. I'm sure I had some deficiencies when I was younger because I was not the best at making sure I ate well, despite my lack of eating meat. And I think I do better now at making sure I'm getting enough veggies and enough whole grains, as well as a multivitamin, so that I shouldn't be like iron deficient or anything. Blood pressure? Perhaps. Ordering wine is easy. Just ask the server for what they would recommend. Ask for what the sommelier recommends. He can mess with some people's pressure. I know that it spikes my heart rate because my watch tells me so. Like, I'll put on my watch after a bath and it's like, dude, are you okay? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It was just really hot water. I'm okay. And then you just want to not, like, go down a bunch of stairs or anything. Just, like, hang out for a bit until it evens out. I go for house wine because it's the cheapest. Usually doesn't taste weird. House wine? What's house wine? I completely understand. I'm not anemic, have great blood pressure. I just get dizzy in certain situations. Yeah. I might be just overly conscious of my... Like, I just really don't want to faint. I just really don't want to faint somewhere. I haven't done it in a long time. Church used to be bad because I feel like if at Mass, there was a lot of standing and there was not a lot of hydrating. And I feel like the air was always very stuffy. There was like low oxygen air. So I used to get very faint in church. But... it's been a long time. Sommelier. So not a sommelier. Sommelier. Thank you. Are you Catholic? Not really anymore. I think according to Catholicism, you're kind of, as long as you've been baptized, you're sort of Catholic forever. So I would just be like a lost sheep. I don't actively attend church any longer. But I was raised Roman Catholic. My family all is. I should say, the older generation of my family is. I feel like the younger generation has very much kind of moved away from that. I do PvP sometimes on my Resto Druid. I don't PvP on stream very often. I like to think that my stream is largely a social experience. At least it is for me. So, and when I'm PvPing, I can't talk as much because I'm trying very hard to not let down my family honor. So, I don't chat as much, and then it's just not as good of a stream. Roman Catholic, the mythic raiders of religion. Yeah, I'm not going to get into it too much because there's a lot of messy stuff to unpack once you start getting into religion, but I respect what anybody chooses to believe. And I also think that, at least for me, faith is a very personal thing. Spirituality is a very personal thing, and it's kind of between me and what I believe in, so I don't feel a strong need to... None of my beliefs really compel me to share them. I don't feel like I need to convert anybody or convince anybody, and as long as I'm not hurting anybody, which I try not to, generally speaking, I think I'm good. I don't need to talk about it too much. Yeah, we like to steer a little clear of politics and religion just because there's enough of that on the internet. There's many, 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 many places for some great conversation about those things to happen. I don't need this to be one of those places. That's all. Between me and the flying spaghetti monster, you do you. Agree with that. Yeah, there's lots of room for that. We can just talk about why there are so many tiny baby slugs outdoors this time of year. I'm going to remember before I go all the way in. Although I maybe I have big enough bags now to kind of handle all this stuff and pick all of it up. I don't know. I am going to try a little bit of these. I got them and then I didn't eat any of them. So let me mute for just a quick. Delicious? A little dry. It's kind of like eating like a dry mouthful of cooked potato. And I don't know what I would need to add to that to make it less dry. I suppose that's the role of ketchup. Time for a freezer cookie. I don't have any cookies in my freezer right now. I don't have any right now. Whenever I do, I eat them so impulsively that for my own health, I need to make sure that having cookies in my freezer and in my home is an occasional thing and not an all the time thing. Because if I had cookies all the time, I would just eat them all the time, and that's not very good for me. So I make them once in a while, and then we'll eat them. And then I make sure to let them be gone for a month or two, just so that my sugar intake stays in check. It looks like a break. I like to think it is a break. I'm trying to do better at just taking a break overall in my whole life from reading a lot of the negativity online, because it can be very compelling to read, and it's so exhausting. It's so exhausting. The longer I live, the more I start to realize that consuming content, while it can feel like you're taking a break from what you were focusing on because you get to just passively consume it, can often stress you out and consume mental energy without you even realizing it, and then you finish your break and you're more exhausted than you were when you started, and it just spirals really badly. So I'm trying to stay off the internet. What color were the slugs? A very, very dark brown, almost black, I think. What faction is Hazel going for with Shadowlands? Planning on going full Pally Holy? Are you gonna do like a Kyrian Pally? I am, unless something goes horribly wrong, going to be Venthyr. Venthyr Shadow Priest, and I'm going to be so gothic and so emo, and it's going to be beautiful. I do like this druid is almost certainly going to join the Night Fae. That seems like a given for her, and then I have enough alts that I can see a little bit of everything. But Venthyr, number 1, Night Fae number 2, Kyrian 3, and then I think Necrolord's 4th. What should I do to this to make it less dry? I went to go clean my vacuum. I know you could have just been doing that anyways, but I would like to think it's because of our vacuum maintenance talks. And I love that that's what I do here. Vacuum maintenance talks. There was a baby slug in the canister. I am so confused as to why and how. You went to clean your vacuum and there was a baby slug in the canister. That is some like simulation breaking manifestation going on, because you've been listening to me talk about vacuum maintenance as well as baby slugs, and then the simulation just glitched and spawned them. It spawned the universe just spawned a slug into your vacuum. Like, what's up? You have a Twitter? I sure do. It's Hazelnutty Games like this is, and I have a weird relationship with my Twitter. I like tweeting. No, I like the validation that comes from people interacting with my tweets, which I think is sort of the primal drive of Twitter. Particularly because I have so little social contact. Normally, I feel like that sort of mental social tickle is given extra weight in my brain because I don't talk to people or see people or get validation at home. So I really like that. However, I recognize that like monitoring the performance of a tweet is just bad for me, and I will also I'll go through weeks and weeks where I just don't tweet anything because I don't feel like I have anything worth saying, which is both true and also not the point of Twitter. It's not about saying things that are worth saying. And I don't really know what the point of Twitter is. I don't really have a strong concept of a good thing that I'm trying to get out of it. So therefore I go through phases of like impulsively using it and then going, well, this doesn't serve me, and then I take a bunch of time off. So I'm really sporadic. I like posting like pictures of like my fish and stuff, but I can also do that on Instagram. It's depressing. Butter? Bacon wrap? You know full well I'm not gonna put bacon on it. Can gnomes be gothic? I'm gonna be. Olive oil, sea salt? I threw a little balsamic vinegar on it. Maybe olive oil is what it needs on top of that. Put gravy on the potato things. What was the first concert you ever went to, and what was the most recent? The first concert I ever went to was, I went to see the Bare Naked Ladies, which is a Canadian, like, band. It's hard to describe what they are. I guess alternative pop music? I don't know. They're a Canadian band. I went to go see them with my parents as a kid, and it was magical. And I will love them forever just because that was my first concert and it was so fun. And then like probably 4 or 5 years after that, I went to see Marilyn Manson in concert for my 16th birthday, and I think that was the last concert I went to. I don't think I've been to like a concert in over 10 years. It just doesn't really come up for me. I don't know. I don't know anybody that wants to go. It seems expensive. I'm sure it would be fun. I love watching performances. I love watching theater. I love watching basically any performance where somebody is put a bunch of work in to show you something really cool. I love seeing things, but I never get out and actually do it. I'm hoping that maybe after I drive, I'll feel better about being like, let's go do this thing, because then I can drive us there, even though I don't think that was what was limiting us before, but I don't know. Maybe. No, I haven't seen a concert in 10 years. I've only seen 2 in my whole life. Normally hold off on tweeting you, since figure A, you won't see it, B, don't open Twitter for months. Strong likelihood that both of those things are true. I don't see a lot of stuff that hits my Twitter. I also have my Twitter set up so it will almost never notify me of things. So if you at me and I don't reply, it's because I did not see it. And I don't see most of it. I don't think that feeling good about tweets interactions is healthy for me. I don't think that's a good value by which I should be judging myself. And also, I'm trying to figure out why I'm using a thing and whether or not it's good for me. Because like YouTube and Twitch, I think, are also in a form of social media. And if anything, I would like to use these two more, because I feel like I am creating content and not just, and it's like for the sake of content. Like having a big Twitter feed will not really benefit me much, because the only thing I'm really looking for is traction on YouTube and on Twitch. I don't need, I don't think that I need to be big on any other social media platforms, because I'm not trying to advertise. I'm not really trying to do brand deals. I'm not trying to do sponsorships. And having a big Instagram or a big Twitter would be important if I was trying to take a lot of sponsorships, because then the brands would want me to tweet advertisements, and that's really a thing that is good for. And aside from that, it's just a social thing, and I get shy anyways, so I don't think it doesn't have a defined enough purpose for me to want to use it regularly, I guess. I just don't know what I'm supposed to be doing with it. Bare Naked Ladies are awesome. I don't know about them thanks to the Digimon movie. It was the first CD I ever bought. I have their greatest hits album on my phone, and it's just a good time whenever. They've just got like such an emotional roller coaster of like feel good music. And come across something on social media that makes you howl with laughter. I think I keep going back in the hopes that I'll find another belly laugh. Yeah. I think something that I do that is bad for me is I watch a lot of other creators online to try to figure out what they're doing to model my own behavior after it, or figure out what not to do. Like if somebody's going through something messy online, if there's messy drama, I consume a lot of that to try to figure out what happened and how likely is this to happen to me, and what can I do and how can I conduct myself to prevent something like this because it looks bad. And it's kind of an anxiety-driven response of just like consuming massive amounts of drama and just the behavior of other creators to try to figure out what the landscape is. Like I think at some part of my core, I'm just trying to find out what the rules are, because this is not a job where they have like some terms and conditions and code of conduct. It's kind of like YouTube has a code of conduct, but it's largely just the Wild West of do whatever you want. And I'm looking for more instruction than that. So I feel like I will look at other people's tweets and how they tweet and be like, I like the way they did this and I don't like the way they did this and I want to do this and this and this. And then I just don't do any of it because it doesn't matter. And because I should probably just close the whole thing, feel better because it always makes me feel awful, and then go work on creating something and trying to add value to myself, because that's the only thing that's going to help me at the end of the day. The one exception to that is during BlizzCon, I am glued to Twitter because it feels so relevant and all of the people I'm reading are actually near me, and you can kind of plan things, you can kind of see what's going on, and it helped me feel more part of the community that was already existing there. So I engaged heavily with Twitter when I was at BlizzCon, and then kind of put it down when I got home. You can kind of keep your fans up to date on what you're doing and achieving. Yeah, it's probably a better way to do that. I look at my Twitch for that. Like, I look at these conversations we have, these talks that we have, as like, if I have anything to say or I have anything to give progress on, this is a nice place to do it, because then I'm not, like, I don't feel like we're really here for a thing, so I have space to say whatever I need to say without worrying that I'm wasting your time. And I'm always I'm always cognizant of, I don't want to waste your click or your attention or your time for anything else. I don't want to put something in your Twitter feed that's going to be irrelevant to you. Which is, it may be a misplaced worry on a platform like Twitter or Instagram where it's all meaningless anyways. But I swear, you get like one comment of somebody being like, nobody cares, and then you believe it forever for the rest of your life. It's awful. I don't know what I'm doing. And potatoes dry. Was it the Manson show at the Orpheum in Vancouver? It was in Victoria. It was at the Save on Food Center. It was bad. It wasn't good. The show was fine. It didn't sound very good live. And then I spent too much money on a t-shirt, and then I had lost it before I left. It was a bad birthday. Maybe that's why I don't go to concerts. They suck. Or at least that one did, and it ruined me forever. Twitch channel's not shown in the list of links in your YouTube page? Oh, yeah, I should look into that. I link it in my video descriptions now, but you're right, I should slap it on the about. I took it down when I switched from YouTube to Twitter, or from Twitch to YouTube, but then I didn't put it back. Not trying to do brand deals. You sold more Logitech G600s than Amazon. That, I guess I should be clear that anything sold with my affiliate links is sort of sponsorship because I do get paid for that. But I'm more comfortable with affiliate sponsorship because nobody is pressuring me to make the content. Nobody has to approve the content before I put it out. So I have absolute freedom to say whatever I want without censoring myself. And then I feel like that puts me in a more honest position to tell you what I actually think about a thing. Because I'm like, I do get paid if I sell it to you, but I think, like, I lose the money if you return it, so I want to sell you something that you're actually going to use, right? And I feel better about doing that if I'm not already engaged in a deal with a company before I've even figured out if I like their stuff or not. It's not to say that I'm never going to do a brand deal. I'm grateful that I'm in a position to be extremely picky about them. So I don't do them very often. Although you should see some of the emails I get. I almost did one because it was just going to be really funny. It was for a... Oh God, it was for a manscaping company. They wanted to sell me grooming products for men's downstairs. And I don't know how they wanted me to advertise it, but I almost did it because it was just so funny. But I have no way of knowing it's a good problem. What if it gives you, like, hives? How am I supposed to test this out? Don't answer that. What are you aiming to get from Siege of Orgrimmar? I am trying to get the Corcoran Juggernaut mount, which drops off of Mythic Garrosh. It's like a 1.3% drop rate. And we're like 33, 34 attempts deep. It takes me an entire hour to get through this place because I don't know how to stop clearing trash. So this is a really long, slow one. Did you rock out to Bryan Adams and Alanis Morissette as a young Canadian lass? I mean, in the car, on the radio, absolutely. Canadian broadcasting law dictates that a certain percentage of the media must be from Canada, so you get extra airplay from artists that are Canadian on the radio. And I think same thing with like television broadcasting. So you get a lot of Celine Dion, a lot of Alanis Morissette, a lot of Justin Bieber, a lot of Nickelback. You know, there's highs and lows, but sure. Everyone on Twitter is looking to waste their time on purpose. Someone you follow decides to live tweet their favorite show. So much spam. What are the reasons Blizzard did not make a new class for the next expansion, in your opinion? I think that they don't so much go into it being like, it's time to make a new class, what's it going to be? And more when they have a concept that they think is strong enough to be worth adding, then they look into when it makes sense to do it. I think that if they didn't add a new class, it's because they didn't have one that they liked enough or that was good enough to put it in, because adding a new class is a much riskier thing to do to the game than adding a new race. Adding a new class impacts all kinds of things beyond just playing that new class. So they're going to naturally be very conservative about when they do that. And if it's not amazing and they're not like really committed and convinced that it's going to make the expansion better, they're not going to do it. So I'm guessing they either had one that they weren't happy with, or they just didn't have anything that they thought would add to the game, and they are reluctant to complicate the class layout for no good reason. If I start a podcast, will you come on my podcast? Just because it's you. I go through phases of being like, I'm going to accept every podcast appearance, and then I do that for a while, and then I'm like, I'm going to turn down every podcast appearance, and I do that for a while, because I don't know how to have a happy medium. It's either way too much, or it's like never, and I'm like, oh, I should network more, I should actually do some of these, and then I do them, and I'm like, I have no time. Sorry, this isn't how I would want to get to know Mr. Hazel better. Yeah. You can test it on Joker? No. How goes the snake murdering? Snake murdering? What snake? Oh, for the Dune Scavenger. I haven't done any since yesterday, but I think well. I was impressed and pleased with the progress I was able to make just on my kill count within like a 2-hour live stream. I didn't know what sort of speed I was going to be able to manage on my own. Just solo farming, and particularly solo farming while streaming and chatting. And I was pretty happy that in 2 hours we got like, what, 300 and something, almost 400 kills in, so that's not too bad. I saw you on BlizzCon, but your hair was purple? That would have been BlizzCon 2018. 18 with the purple hair. Opinion on the level squish for Shadowlands. I am mostly happy with it as it pertains to the leveling redesign and how much quicker leveling is going to be. If they had tried to cut down the overall speed of leveling by 60 to 70% without level squishing, it would have been ridiculous. You would have been leveling so quickly, it would have been just silly. So I think that the leveling redesign goes hand in hand with the level squish, and I'm happy enough about the new leveling experience that the squish doesn't bother me. I don't think I'm going to be very upset about being level 50 or level 60 as opposed to 120. The number's not that important to me, so I think it'll be fine. Erendrid had the 5-bit cheer 20 minutes ago. I missed that one. Sorry about that. Where'd it go? What did it say? Corgo ones. I see. And Christy AZ with the 5 months. Thank you very much. Got my hair done today. Brown hair. Thinking about getting some balayage. What color would work? You want like a fancy color, or you just want like some highlights? Because I think that like an ashy, like if you have like a warm brown hair, like a cooler lighter brown can be really pretty, sort of like almost silvery but not gray, you know, those can be really pretty. If you want like a fun color, I'm all aboard the teal train right now. I'm all aboard the blue-green sort of mermaidy thing, and that's a fairly flattering color anyways. The other color that's almost always flattering on anybody is like a rose gold. I feel like you can't go wrong with like a rose gold balayaged over your brown hair. I think that would look awesome. Ashy sounds good. Ready to lose a lot of money from level boosters to actually make leveling better. I am skeptical of how much money they even made off of level boosts, and I think that whenever I think the concept that they're just pushing the level boosts is I don't know. I feel like, and maybe this is just me making way too many excuses, I have no idea how the decision making works. The concept of adding a level boost, I don't know. I'm not even going to get into this. I don't really know what I feel. It's just, I never really believed that they were like trying to make leveling gross to push them microtransaction wise, and maybe I'm naive or what, but I don't think that the people making decisions about the pacing of the leveling process are worried too much about how many boosts they sell, personally. Can Joker appear in my new Kleekai-centric podcast? He doesn't say much until he says everything. He really has nothing to say until he's ready to like really throw a fit, so you'd have to get him kind of worked up. I wish I could have fun hair, but I can't with my job. Would you recommend using henna if you want to have red hair, or is a chemical treatment better? I'm not the right person to answer that. I don't know. My understanding is that henna is temporary, so assuming that you're not lightening your hair, it should be less damaging, but I don't know what goes into it, so I can't confirm that for sure. Do you think 120 with the new pre-order isn't used, it will scale down with Shadowlands? Absolutely, yeah. My prediction, I don't think they've confirmed this, but I am 97% certain that if you do not use your boost, it's just going to turn into a level 50 boost, which is the equivalent of what 120 is now. I'm not planning on using mine anytime soon, so I'm assuming that it's the same thing. Like if you, it works out the same. If you boosted before the patch, and you boosted to 120, and then the squish goes in, you're going to be level 50. And if you don't boost before the patch, you boost and then you're level 50, and it's the same thing. So I'm not too worried about it. I do think it'll squish down though. They're not gonna make you 120 in a level 50 to 60 world. Okay, in we go. Blizzard wanted to make money. They get rid of paying for subs with in-game gold. That's a good money-making move for them though, because somebody has always paid for that sub. Somebody always paid for it. and they paid $5 more than 15 for it. So that's actually brilliant. I really like the WoW token system. I think it's fair to everybody, and I don't think it's really taking advantage of anybody. But it's genius on their part because they get to make money on every transaction. What wireless headset do you use? This is a Bose SoundLink 2. Keep in mind I'm using this only for my own audio and not for the microphone. I am not using the microphone on it because it sounds like butts. It's just for phone calls. So I'm using a separate microphone which lets me use just a music headset. I like these a lot though because they've been very sturdy, they have a great battery life, and I can connect them to a bunch of my devices and switch them really easily. So I use these to listen to my computer, but also like my iPad, my phone, my Apple TV if I'm watching TV and I want to use that headphones, all kinds of stuff, like anything. It's going to be weird to be level 60 in endgame. It's going to kind of match Classic. It'll be kind of cute. You can technically pay for your WoW sub with gold. Yes, indeed. If you buy a WoW token, which currently on North American servers will cost you 185,000 gold, you can exchange that for either game time or I think $15 worth of Blizzard balance, which is about the same thing. Maybe 20 in Blizzard balance, but yeah, you can exchange that for game time directly. So if you can make whatever the WoW token price is, and it will fluctuate based on supply and demand, you can pay your WoW sub with gold. It's expensive right now because of a lot of factors, but in my opinion, Classic. I think that people that want to, there's more people trying to pay their sub with gold than there are buying gold with tokens, because you can only buy gold with a token in live. You cannot do that in Classic, but the sub will work for both games. So I think that's really twisted the balance. Fedori, thank you very much for the sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. Gonna make my turkey today because I can. There you go. Don't headphones make your ears all hot and icky? No. How sweaty are your ears? No, I haven't had that. These are actually like really comfortable. I wear them a lot. I replaced the ear pads on them once because the ear pads eventually, because I wore them so much, like every day, 6+ hours a day for years, that the ear pads wore down, so they were really thin. And then the plastic started kind of pressing into my head, so I bought some like $10 replacement ear pads on Amazon. And that worked out really well because now they're comfy. And they'll hopefully last me forever and ever because they were kind of expensive, but you know, it's like 5 years ago, so it's fine. Yo, Tally and Abby with the big host, thank you very much. Good morning, everybody, or afternoon, evening. What have you guys been up to? How'd it go? It used to be that cheap before it can give the option to convert to Blizzard balance. Cavalon, thank you for the 5-month sub. Hi. Hello. How you doing? I'm gonna stop. This is my worst area. I'm like a woman that has ventured into a grocery store being like, I shall stick to my list. My list contains the bosses I'm here to kill. It does not contain trash. I am not going to impulse kill trash just because it might drop me some loot. I won't do it. I'm walking by the candy aisle. I'm walking by the fancy cheese display. You can't tempt me with it. I'm sprinting. I'm sprinting through the store past the cheese because I am here for rice, bread, vegetables. And the vegetables in this metaphor are the bosses because I don't need to kill all of this trash. It's taking me way too long to do. Balcor Uther, thank you very much for the brand new sub. Welcome to the Squirrel Squad. If you were going to use the 120, what would you use it on? I don't know. I have so many characters and I don't play most of them. What am I going to do with another one? I have a rogue. I can open my own lockboxes. Perhaps like an extra... If this were Warlords, I would say more druids or more characters to PvP on, just so that I could have characters to practice without worrying about my rating. But in today's day and age, it takes so long to get yourself set up to even play at endgame with having to go get all of your essences and all of your azurite and all of your gear, that even if I boosted another 120 druid, I don't think, like, I'm going to be hard-pressed just to get my Zandalari geared up once she's leveled. You already know how Tally's stream was? This is true. This is true. Watching your videos for a while now. Glad I could finally sub. The metaphor was too relatable. I'm just getting myself geared up for when I'm finally able to take myself grocery shopping and hopefully not make too many impulse purchases. Is there any particular reason why you don't have a Pandaren? Do you not like Mop? I love Mop. I historically never really been able to get into the very animal-based races, so I also don't have any Worgen, and I don't have any Pandas. I have one Tauren that's like Warlords old. I haven't played in a while. But the super fluffy races I don't really click with me, which is an interesting dilemma for when Volpera come out, because Volpera are so stinking cute, but like I don't know if I want to play it. I mean, I'm going to make one because why not? But why not? Discussing the difference between British chips and fries. Indeed. So chips, wait. To my knowledge, to my ignorant Canadian brain, British chips are fries, and then American chips in British lingo would be crisps, which is hard to say, crisps. Also, fun fact, if you're ever trying to voice over WoW videos, the one word that I have practiced more than any other word to actually say is quests, because the STS at the very end of it just like kills me. And it sounds dumb if you don't get the whole thing out, but you can't linger on it too long because then people go, why are you making snake sounds? Are you trying to speak parcel tongue? It's the whole thing. Yeah. Because, I mean, there's different types of fries. You know what? You know what my problem is? I have never been to Britain, and therefore never had proper British fish and chips. In BC, there's lots of fish and chips places. There's lots of fish and chips shops that will try to tell you they're very British. And the fries that you get at those places, the chips that you get at those places, they tend to be, like, wider than American French fries. I just realized American fries. They tend to be, like, wider and more wedge-shaped, but they're not, like, wedges, you know? They're not, like, home fries, right? Yeah, they're not like steak fries. Okay, I'm gonna go. All right, we'll fight about this later. It's all good. Tally imported the topic. It's okay. We'll work this out one day. If Blizzard wanted to sell something, I'd put down $10 for personalities, different ways of running or walking. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, man. It sounds too much. Like, if I guess they could put extra gates, and then you could choose your walking gait from, like, a list, kind of like we choose our hairstyles right now. So they would already be designed. I would want to mix and match, though, and then I would get myself in trouble mixing and matching, and I would just end up, making a really weird, awkward walk, and people would watch me on a video and be like, what are you doing? What's wrong with your gnome? I want to lean on stuff. You know what my favorite thing to do is? And I'm still not convinced I've even learned how to do this, but I know it's possible. I guess I do know how to do it. Being a druid in flight form and landing on something, like using the sit function as a bird to perch on something is the best. And like, sure, as in a humanoid form, you can sit on a chair, but it would be fun if we could sit on more things. I could stand sitting on more things. It's not hard to get Hazel to pick up a food topic. It's true. Particularly this, like, it's about 11:57 a.m. here, so almost lunchtime. It is very easy to make me talk about food. Everyone always leaves hungry. Trail mix isn't nut salad? I mean, first of all, nut salad is a wonderful phrase. It should be preserved forever. Trail mix, for me, involves, like, you have some nuts, but you'll also have, like, some pretzels and some cereal, usually like a dry cereal, but a dry cereal that's been like toasted and seasoned in like oil and spices. Or am I thinking of something else? I think that's trail mix, right? What am I thinking of? I would love it if they could make it so we could lean into stuff. If a hot dog is a sandwich, then trail mix is definitely salad. I mean, we're really stretching the definition of salad, though. You could say anything is salad. You could say that. Oh, hang on. Let me think this through before I say something really dumb. You could say that my cutlery drawer is a fork salad. It's not. It's very well organized. Thank you very much. What am I doing? I'm going over here. What kind of trail mix do you have? You know, sometimes you have like some M&Ms in it or like some Smarties. I don't know. As lurking in Fellwood, sitting on a low ground branch, one horde thought I was a regular bird, just looked once and passed by. We should crowdfund Hazel going to PreachCon. I don't know anything about any convention that's not BlizzCon. I'm assuming PreachCon is run by, like, Preach. I would also assume, based on it being run by Preach, that it would be, like, Europe, which is really far. I've never been to Europe. I have never been across the pond. Like, the farthest east I've been is Orlando, Florida, once. I've been mostly on the West Coast, like, forever. There's a British market eatery in Orange County that has some proper chips. People already call anything salad as long as it has two different but arguably relatable things. We are the reason Hazel can't finish mount runs. So one of these days this week, I don't know when I'm going to scrape time for this, but I'm going to pre-do some mount runs. So basically take some characters, run them through, but not kill the end boss, so that I can, on a stream, just be like, hey, let's get a couple of extra kills on Garrosh in real quick, but not have to spend the entire stream doing this, because I'll have done this off stream. And that will also give me the fun experience of finding out how long does it really take me to do a mount run when I am not streaming. How much time am I actually losing to the distraction? Because I feel like I'm reasonably good at playing and speaking and taking time to read chat when I'm waiting for RP anyways. However, I think that the extra distraction of having a conversation going with chat means that I am more likely to, like, autopilot kill a bunch of trash I don't need to kill. But, you know, at the end of the day, it's making me gold rich, so it's fine. EU WoW convention? Canadian Smarties, not American Smarties? Canadian Smarties, yes, yes, yes. Squirrel Squad nut salad makes sense. It's in Manchester. I see. What happens there? What do they do? Hazel gets anxious about traveling to Cali once every 2 years. Hazel going to Europe, can't imagine. I'm a growing girl. I'm learning my way in the world. I can, if I can learn to drive a car, I can learn to fly to Europe. It can't be that different from flying to California, just like longer and less comfortable and with international customs. That's fine. That's probably fine. I won't be thrilled about it, but it'll be okay. Oh man, trip through Europe, go, go, go. I wouldn't even know what to do. I feel like that's going to be like my mid-50s eat, pray, love moment, is me realizing that I've turned 50 and I've somehow managed to still never even touch another continent of the world and be like, to heck with it, I'm traveling, and then just like figure it out and then just go and ruin a bunch of things in my life because I abandoned my responsibilities to just like go see Finland. Because it looks like it might be nice up there. Over here. Never been across the pond as a European either. Going on an exchange next year in Ottawa. Yikes. That's going to be really cool. That's going to be really cool, though. I go to California, like, well, for the last 2 years, twice a year. I don't know if that's going to keep up. It depends on if they keep doing press events and if I keep being invited to them. If I end up falling off that list, it might be just once a year for BlizzCon. As a European, you're not missing much. I think it would just be kind of a cool new experience. Like right now, I am frustrated with myself because my life is the same every day. Routines are good and habits are good, but I don't have anything else. Nothing changes. Nothing is varied in the day-to-day operation of my life. Like I do the exact same thing every day, and there's really no opportunity for any randomness or new experiences or learning, and I feel like I'm doing myself a disservice by not getting out more or talking to more people, or at least working on my life so that one day I have good reason to get out more and talk to more people. That was my favorite thing about BlizzCon, was I was exposed to so many mindsets and so many perspectives that I had never even considered before, and that's just good for me to grow as a person. So I think that's something that people really like getting out of traveling, is meeting people that are different from you. And I'm not saying people at BlizzCon are different from me. If anything, those are like my people. But meeting people that live differently and just letting that widen your brain a little tiny bit. I got a very narrow brain over here and I want to fix it. This is so dry. Would you be interested in doing a WoW streamer panel at like Calm Before the Storm? Oh yeah, 100%. That That would be really cool. I kind of did, I mean, not at a convention, but I feel like being able to appear on Bay's, like the final boss before BlizzCon episode with him and Mr. GM, that was kind of like a panel, sort of, because there's a couple people, and we got to have like a similar kind of conversation, and that was just the best. So being able to do that at the convention, if I was invited to do anything like that, 100%. Absolutely travel Europe, take time for each country, a whole lot of different cultures within a relatively small space. Is that the reason why you decided to get a driver's license? There's a lot of reasons why I'm finally getting a driver's license. Like, I've wanted it forever. But I think the reasons why I'm actually finally doing it are complicated and tough to unpack, but there's a lot of them. There's a lot of things I want. I'm still struggling with where am I even gonna go? Where am I even gonna go? What am I even gonna do? You want to make new memories? Exactly. Yeah, I do want to make new memories. Right now, I feel like I can live years of my life and not remember any of it because nothing was novel or new enough to stick in my brain. I can like look back through photos and be like, here's me doing the same thing with green hair, and here's me doing the same thing with blue hair with pink in it, and here's me doing the same thing with pink hair. And I'm not saying that what I'm doing is bad, but I do feel a little bit stuck. And I don't have anybody to blame but myself for that, so streamer panel would be awesome. It would be really fun. I really enjoyed watching. It wasn't really a streamer panel, but there was a panel just about all things Blizzard that had Taryn and Perculia and Fist and some other community people just talking about BlizzCon, all things Blizzard, and that was a really good watch. That was really fun. Love watching YouTube channels of Americans living in Germany. So funny what regular customs are odd to them. Remember that the EU is smaller than Texas. Texas might frighten me. I've certainly never been to Texas. Rebuy? Well, goodbye again. It's giving me a mini existential crisis since I too haven't done much. I don't think it's necessarily like I need to uproot my life and leave and change careers or anything. I want to... What do I want? What do I want? There's an existential problem for me. What do I even want? What's important to me? I don't know. I have values of things that I want to not do. I have lots of things I want to avoid in life, but I'm fairly lax about what I actually want. I'm fairly chill about the whole thing, and I think that causes me motivational problems when I don't really care how well I do. I don't really need a lot. I don't know. I don't know what I want. Do you have Invincible? I do have Invincible. Texas is great. Come and join us. Memories can be as simple as spending time with friends and family or exploring your city or country. I think I want to learn a lot of new things. And sometimes that might mean traveling. And sometimes that might mean just like taking a class. And sometimes that might just mean like working through some YouTube tutorials at home. But I think that's the big thing, is that as long as I am learning and practicing new skills all the time, even if my day-to-day life is the same, I will be different. If I can't change my life, I can change myself, and I feel like change will follow that. And will kind of come from that, especially because I am blessed with such an amazing platform to show any skills if I ever manage to get myself any. I have you guys and I can show you and I can look what I did. So I think that's the key, is making sure that every day I'm doing something to not only tread water in my life, but also try to learn something and build some skills or practice some skills. I don't know what I want, said every woman ever. I don't know if I know the stereotype that you're talking about. I feel like a lot of people, regardless of gender, feel that way though. Europe is small enough that you can accidentally enter a new country because you forgot to get off a highway. Not that I did that. Yes, I did. Are there not like border crossing situations? Can you just drive across and then you're there? They check your ID or anything? Like I've done the Canadian-US border many times. I've driven it and I've also flown across it. And even though that's arguably the easier of the two American borders to get across, it's still like a whole process. You're certainly not going to accidentally drive to America. It's a common travel zone. Most borders are open, no checks. Huh. Weird. That's very different from what I've known. 3 different countries in less than 10 minutes. What's wild to me is that while I imagine there is a lot of common language across the EU, there's also many different local languages within it. And you'll hear a lot of different languages around Canada and the US depending on which areas you go to and how urban the area you are in. Oh gosh, I don't even know how to say that. You'll hear a lot of different languages, but like in Canada and in the US, your basic language is English. And Canada has a second language of French, but for the most part, it's all English. And I'm assuming large parts of the EU are also, at least there is some English, even if it's not the primary language. But the fact that there can be so many more primary languages within such a smaller geographical space is really fascinating to me. It makes living and traveling in Europe easy. Why is Luxembourg so small? Rhode Island is bigger. Except in Quebec, this is true. This is true. I've never been to Quebec. I've never been. I think I would really like to see Montreal sometime. I've done Toronto before. Toronto was fine. Toronto was huge. I like cities that are a little smaller than Toronto. Vancouver is really cool. Vancouver is a very fun city. It's got a really weird vibe. Like, Portland's got a weird vibe, but I feel like Vancouver is weird in a way that is taking itself 100% seriously. Whereas Portland is weird in a way that it kind of knows it's weird and it's fine with that. Whereas Vancouver, like, kind of leans in. It's like, this isn't weird. You're weird for not getting it. If you know? I don't know. I don't know what I'm saying. You'd be one of those travel vloggers, try food all around the world. That would be different. As far as filming, am most comfortable creating content inside of my home, because if you're going to film in public, the legal and correct thing to do is to get permission from everybody that you're filming and every location that you're filming in, which is a lot of red tape to get around, so a lot of people don't do it. But you can get in, there's like sticky situations that you can get in with that. So if I was going to film in public in a place that is not, like at BlizzCon, I feel like there's some, by being at BlizzCon, there's something in your ticket that says you are consenting to, it's an environment where people are more expecting to be filmed than like on a street or in a restaurant or something like that. So IRL streaming or video creation kind of spooks me for that reason. I feel more confident in a controlled environment that I have control over, I guess. People speak different languages. Students often learn languages of bordering countries. English is a standard second language, though. Come to Austin, hang out with other streamers. Who lives in Austin? I know more streamers than I used to. Having been to BlizzCon, I got to meet lots of really cool WoW content creators, which was fun. But I'm certainly not super integrated. Everyone lives in Austin. Austin has fiber, right? That's one of the only things I know about it, aside from it being more of a technologically focused city, like lots of tech jobs in Austin. And then I think it has Google Fiber. Austin, Salt Lake City, Seattle, maybe? I don't know. I was like keeping an eye on fiber cities at one point because I was seriously considering at a certain point in my life, like choosing a city to live in based on whether or not it had fiber. Switzerland, we have 4 official languages and none are English. Got the reins of the Blue Drake, congratulations. You learn English in school. Not Kovak. Sorry, Kovak. Okay. It's just not our time. I do have a little baby Kovak. I could make it up to him by pulling at the tiny one. Fiber. Yeah. Honestly, after Shaw Internet in BC and how much I paid and how trash the connection was for how much I paid for it, even non-fiber internet in America is like amazing to me. America's not the best place in the world for internet. I want to say that Korea's up there, South Korea's up there quite high, but Canada's definitely below the States. Internet's much better here. On average, there's going to be outliers that do not follow that. Remember Hazel? You now know how to say it. Min nam is Hazel. I do. That's true. I have been educated. I have been tutored. Lots of people on the continent have better English than people in the UK. Don't take anything I say from memory as legal advice. The hippie central of Texas. Yeah, it would be fun to see more American cities. I think my problem is I don't know what to do Like, I haven't traveled, so while I know what things people typically do, I wouldn't really have any idea of how to plan a trip. I would get there. Like, I get to Anaheim, and I'm like, okay, I got BlizzCon, and then maybe a day before, maybe a day after. And in that day after, if somebody else does not have plans for me, I am lost. I do not know. I guess I could Google, like, a museum and then Uber to it. That's all I got. I have no good plans. I need travel moms to shepherd me along and give me good ideas of things to do. There's lots of fun things that I feel like would be uncomfortable alone, or lots of fun things that I just don't know how to plan for. Gold making videos. Any coming about old content gold making? Not currently. I'm too behind. I'm too behind to book anything new. It is a good idea, and it's something that's kind of fascinating me right now, but I got to get through 8.3 stuff. I got to get through 8.3 stuff before 8.3 comes out, and I also need to make my BlizzCon vlog before next BlizzCon. So, based on my current rate of 1 video a week, I'm just not taking on any new projects for now. I went to New York City, did touristy stuff, went home, but I'm the type of person to stare at monuments and go, is that it? Yeah, I feel like you can see cool things in monuments and attractions, but those aren't necessarily, unless you're like super interested in the history of it, going to be the memories that stick out to you. I always mostly remember the people that I met or places that I went with people whose company I really enjoyed. Museums are always good plans. I do love a good museum. I haven't been to a museum in a long time either. We used to do a lot of museum school trips, and those were always super fascinating. I really like reading things that are posted. Like, you know, you go to a park and it'll have like a sign somewhere being like, this area once had a fossil and then it fell off a glacier and hit a dinosaur, and it'll like have a little drawing of a dinosaur. Paraphrasing. But I love, I'm kind of annoying to walk with because I want to stop and read every single one of them and then kind of look around and try to parse and try to understand what it is it's saying and absorb that information because it's just really fascinating. New York City has great museums. Go to Las Vegas. Always plenty to do there, even if you don't like gambling. I personally love the shows. I do love any kind of performance. I think if I went to New York, I would have, assuming I could get any kind of tickets, Broadway would be like a bucket list item for me. Seeing a live Broadway show would kill me. I would die. I would love it so much. Good luck, Hazel. See you later, Chai Tea Taylor. I'm from Denmark, which is tiny, so New York City was definitely a huge, cool thing. Statue of Liberty. People talk a lot about Times Square, but Times Square to me just looks so obnoxiously busy that I don't really see the point. I don't know if I would really want to go there. I hope you have better luck. Maybe this is the time. I'm going to try to remember to give it its dramatic space. Do a little drum roll. Maybe that's what he needs. Went to Oktoberfest in Berlin. Met a lot of great people. Had a wonderful time getting annihilated. Last concert you've been to? It was like over 10 years ago. It was Marilyn Manson and it was only okay. Maybe he was having an off day. Phantom of the Opera. Ooh. Oh, so good. I've been on a real kick of consuming Hamilton media, despite the fact that I've never seen it and probably never will in person. There's lots of content for it on YouTube, and then I've heard the soundtrack a few times. In learning to drive, I've been kind of trying to figure out where I really want to go, like maybe have like a mental goal so I have some place where that I can be really proud that I drove myself to. But I don't really need to go anywhere badly enough to have like a dream of I'm going to drive myself to the horse store and buy a horse, which I don't recommend in a normal car. I don't really have anything like that I want. But one fantasy that I did come up with that does really appeal to me is when I drive alone and do so comfortably enough to sing to myself in the car. I feel like that is an experience that has been withheld from me as a non-driver, is that singing to yourself alone in the car, because nobody that you're going to see anytime soon is going to hear you, and you can really have fun. So I'm looking forward to that when I am ready, you know, not anytime early in my driving when I still need all of my attention to focus. And I'm not going to like dance, but you know, I want to sing in the car. Aggressively waves Danish flag. I grew up loving his music. I still really liked the music and the artistry of it. The live performance just was a little bit iffy. Going to a horse store to buy horse skulls. Somebody stole my wallet in Times Square. Oh no. I like when you pass by somebody who's really getting into the song, even if you can't hear it. Drive to the dog park, take photos with random dogs. Ooh, driving to hikes I think would also be good. driving to various like hiking spots and parks. That might be kind of fun. Me and my work college almost all the time sing and dance in the van at work. From personal experience, I don't recommend doing the time warp while driving. Aggressive Norwegian flag waving. Me, 9 of 10. I'm driving, especially Fanta. My voice hurts by the time I get to my destination. I'm learning all the lyrics of Hamilton just so if I ever have a really long road trip, I know all the words. Started some kind of inter-Norwegian patriotic meltdown. I enjoy how aggressive the flag waving is, just based on how non-aggressive and polite I know most Nordic people to be. Okay, this could be the time. Attempt number 34. Drum roll. Hard to do with 2 fingers. No. I guess, alright, well, it said only 33. I don't know. I don't know for which stream this week, but one of the streams this week I am going to try to pre-do some siege runs so that I can just pop on and knock out a couple of quick kills and then move on to whatever we're doing. Next time, perhaps. Every time I do this, I'm always up another 8-9K worth of just vendor trash, so that's always good. Thank you guys so much for coming. If you haven't seen my latest video, I put one out today. Fancy that. It talks about the various Shadowlands pre-order bonuses and edition prices and why I think they made so stinking many versions of it. That is on my YouTube channel. I appreciate you all so much. Tomorrow is Pie Day. Tomorrow is Apple Pie Day, so don't watch hungry, but do watch. It's going to be 3 p.m. Pacific time, so the afternoon stream time slot. I'm making pie. It's going to be something. Can't wait. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful day.